Chapter 4967. The news that the envoys of the Eastern Wasteland Goblin clan and the Western Sea Dragon clan had died in the southern barbarian imperial capital spread, and the whole world was shocked. The rulers of the southern barbarian were really courting death. As expected, after the Eastern Baron Demon race received the news, they took action immediately. Eastern Baron Demon Emperor Yawutian personally led 100,000 demon army to attack the Eastern Guard city where the Azure Dragon army was stationed. There was nothing more to say. The envoys they sent were killed. Why would they be polite to these southern barbarians? Is Man Yu's head filled with shit? East Guard City, on the East City Tower, seeing the demon army that covered the sky and covered the earth, the commander Bai Ge, who was known as the fourth war god of South Barbarian, couldn't help but curse at Man Yu. Bai Ge was a ruthless man of his generation. His cultivation base was at the half-emperor realm. He belonged to the pro-war faction and had once proposed to the barbarian emperor to completely annihilate the wizard tribe to prevent any future troubles. Unfortunately, the power of the southern barbarian shaman clan was deeply rooted in the southern barbaric lands, and it was impossible to directly annihilate the southern barbarian shaman clan. It was too unrealistic to uproot the sorcerer tribe at once. It was impossible for the barbarian emperor to make such a drastic decision. Bai Ge was so angry that he went into seclusion. But now, southern barbarian was in a precarious situation. Man Yu could only personally ask Bai Ge to come out of seclusion. Bai Ge was a guy who didn't even give face to the barbarian sovereign. But at this time, Bai Ge had no choice but to come out. How could he let the southern barbarian be invaded by the eastern wilderness demon clan? Bai Ge, the god of war, lived up to his reputation. After he led the 20,000 Azure Dragon army to the east, he fought a few battles with the Eastern Baron Demon clan and successfully suppressed the Eastern Baron Demon army's unstoppable momentum. Now, Bai Ge was guarding the East Guard city, blocking the Eastern Baron Demon clan army from entering the Southern Baron territory. Eastern Guard city's geographical location was extremely important. Once the Eastern Guard city was breached by the Eastern Baron Demon clan, the Eastern Baron Demon clan's army would be able to march straight into the Southern Baron territory. Therefore, Bai Ge couldn't retreat. He could only defend with his life. If he couldn't defend, he could only live or die with the Eastern Guard city. Activate the defensive formation! Bai Ge, who was on the city gate tower, bellowed as he looked at the approaching demon army. In the next moment, a light shield emerged from the void and shrouded Eastern Guard city. On the light shield, mysterious runes appeared indistinctly. At that moment, the Firebird army of the Eastern Baron Demon race began their attack. A red cloud in the sky was approaching East Guard city at high speed. It was a large group of firebirds. Before the scarlet firebirds reached the sky above East Guard city, they spat fireballs at the city. Every fireball was like a meteor streaking across the sky. Boom! The fireballs blasted on the defensive shield of the Eastern Guard city. The next moment, the entire sky above Eastern Guard city was shrouded in endless flames. The fire burned half of the sky red. The defensive formation of the Eastern Guard city was extremely powerful, and had blocked the attack of the Firebird army. However, the scorching heat descended from the sky, and the entire Eastern Guard city was as hot and stuffy as a steamer. Archers, get ready! Bai Ge ordered from the tower. Shoot! Following Bai Ji's roar, countless cold lights shot out from the city. The cold lights penetrated the defensive shield and shot into the flock of scarlet firebirds in the sky. The arrowheads of the arrows were refined with a secret technique. The arrowheads were branded with runes that could penetrate the defensive shield. The scarlet firebirds in the sky fell from the sky like dumplings and smashed into the light shield formed by the power of the defensive formation. They slid along the arc of the light shield and fell to the ground. Soon, the scarlet firebirds that were circling above Eastern Guard city were dispersed. Bam! At that moment, a dull crashing sound was heard. Countless low-level demon beasts from the vanguard of the demon army had begun to collide with the light shield formed by the power of the defensive formation. The crashing sounds were concentrated. However, Even if the demon beasts that were the size of small mountains collided with the light shield, they couldn't shake it at all. The defensive formation of Eastern Guard City was not just for show. As the gateway to the eastern part of southern Barbarian, this city had been under the management of the Barbarian Emperor for countless years. Bai Ge had 20,000 Azure Dragon soldiers under his command, which was the most elite army of southern Barbarian. Together with the 100,000 soldiers stationed in Eastern Guard City, it would not be an easy task for Yao Wutian to break into Eastern Guard City. At that moment, the archers in Eastern Guard City started to take action. Arrows were fired from the top of the city wall, aiming at the giant demon beasts. Soon, the outside of the city was filled with the corpses of the demon beasts, and the smell of blood permeated the air. However, the demon beasts were still charging towards Eastern Guard City without any regard for their lives. Bai Ge, you are a famous general. Do you dare to come out and fight? A figure appeared in the sky outside Eastern Guard City and shouted at Bai Ge, who was on the city tower. Yao Wutian, cut the crap. If you can break into the city, I will fight with you. Bai Ge, who was on the city tower, roared at the figure in midair. You coward! You call yourself the divine general of southern Barbarian, but you are just a coward. Yao Wutian pointed at Bai Ge and scolded. Provocation doesn't work on me. Bai Ge held the hilt of the sword at his waist and looked at Yao Wutian coldly. You bastard! Yao Wutian had no choice but to retreat. However, the demon beasts on the ground attacked even more fiercely. The strength of the Eastern Barbarian demon clan was unquestionable. If it wasn't for Bai Ge blocking Yao Wutian's army in Eastern Guard City, Yao Wutian's army would have already reached the southern Barbarian Imperial City. 2 hours later, the demon beasts began to retreat. Eastern Guard City was still impregnable, and the corpses of the demon beasts outside the city were piled up into a small hill. Overconfident, Bai Ge looked at the retreating demon beasts with disdain. At this moment, there were 3 figures standing above the clouds in the distant sky. Master, the Eastern Barbarian Demon Clan seems to have an undeserved reputation, Qiu Qianjian said. These are just the lowest level demon beasts. Gu Fei said. The real army of the Eastern Barbarian Demon Clan had yet to move out. The commander of the demon army this time is Yao Wutian, Luo Lai said. Yao Wutian? Then Bai Ge has really met a strong opponent this time, Qiu Qianjian said in surprise. Is Yao Wutian very powerful? Gu Fei asked. This Yao Wutian is not only powerful, but he is also a rare commander in the demon clan, Luo Lai said. Then let's continue to watch the show. Gu Fei waved his sleeves and landed on the mountain. Qiu Qianjian and Luo Lai quickly followed. At this time, the southern Barbarian Imperial City was already in a mess. The messengers of the Eastern Barbarian Demon Clan and the West Sea Dragon Clan were killed in the Southern Barbarian Imperial City. Manu was searching for the murderer all over the city. Gu Fei brought Qiu Qianjian and Luo Lai out of the Southern Barbarian Imperial City and came to Eastern Guard City. Rumble. At this moment, the ground suddenly shook. What's going on? Bai Ge, who was on the tower of Eastern Guard City, was shocked. The ground around Eastern Guard City was constantly cracking, as if there was a dragon turning over under the ground. Oh no, they are attacking from underground. Chapter 4968. Eastern Defense City in the Southern Barbarian Eastern region was the only way to enter Southern Barbarian from the East Barbarian. If the Eastern Barbarian Demon Race's army wanted to enter Southern Barbarian's territory, they had to take down Eastern Defense City first. However, Bai Ge was in charge of guarding Eastern Defense City. Although Bai Ge was called the 4th war god of Southern Barbarian, it was because he went into seclusion early. If he hadn't gone into seclusion, then Man Xiong wouldn't be the #1 war god of Southern Barbarian. Man Yu had no choice and could only kill this battle god who had gone into seclusion. Bai Ge was indeed a war god. Before the Eastern Barbarian Demon Race's army could take down Eastern Defense City, he had successfully used the city's defensive formation to block the Eastern Barbarian Demon Race's attack. Just as Bai Ge repelled another wave of attacks from the Eastern Barbarian Demon Race's army, the ground suddenly shook. There were wild beasts moving underground. Yao Wutian wanted to take down Eastern Defense City from underground. Master, do you think Yao Wutian will succeed? Qiu Qianjian asked softly. They were on a mountain peak, which was about 20 to 30 miles away from Eastern Guard City. Despite the distance, they could still feel the tremors under their feet. Probably not, Gu Fei said. How could Eastern Defense City be breached so easily? If it could be breached from underground, then it would have been breached long ago. Huge shadows of beasts rushed out of the ground. They were mountain-piercing pythons. Their black scales shone with a layer of black light under the divine sun. These beasts were also called earth dragons, but they weren't real earth dragons. They were just huge pythons that could move underground. Each mountain-piercing python was hundreds of feet long. The hard soil and rocks were as fragile as tofu in front of these pythons. Of course, this kind of black pangolin python also had the opportunity to transform into a flood dragon. When the black pangolin python transformed into a flood dragon, it would become a true black pangolin earth dragon. The mountain-piercing black armored python continued to move on the ground, causing the ground to collapse. The ground around Eastern Guard City was collapsing, but to everyone's surprise, the entire Eastern Guard City didn't even shake a bit. Finally, the soil around Eastern Guard City sank into the ground. The entire ancient city floated in the air, shrouded by a ball of divine light. This, Qiu Qianjian and Luo Lai were dumbfounded. The Eastern Guard City's defensive formation was too powerful. How could it work like this? Boom! Bam! Dull crashing sounds were heard continuously. The mountain-piercing black armored pythons were crashing into the defensive shield of the Eastern Guard City. However, the defensive formation of the Eastern Guard City blocked the mountain-piercing pythons. Rumble! East Guard City gradually flew up into the sky. Beams of divine light shot out from East Guard City, piercing through the giant black pangolin python. The gigantic black armored pangolin python fell from the sky and landed on the ground, causing the earth to shake and dust to rise. The entire Eastern Guard City was like a divine mountain suspended in the void, blocking the path of the Eastern Wilderness Demon Army. Preposterous! Yao Wutian, who was watching from afar, was infuriated. Of course, Yao Wutian was just testing the waters. No matter who it was impossible to crush the southern barbarian war god Bai Ge. No one could easily defeat the southern barbarian war god Bai Ge. Sir, what should we do now? Beside Yao Wutian stood a muscular man with two horns on his head. He was as tall as a black iron tower, and he held two giant axes in his hands. Invite the Fire Sparrow King here. I'm going to roast this city, Yao Wutian ordered. Yes, sir. The muscular man took the order and left. Soon, a divine sun rose in the eastern sky. In the divine sun, the figure of a divine bird could be vaguely seen. Even though it was far away, Bai Ge, who was standing on top of Eastern Guard City, could still feel a wave of heat. Oh no, it's the Fire Sparrow King! Bai Ge stared at the glaring divine sun in the sky, and his expression changed drastically. He didn't expect the Eastern Wilderness Demon race to put in so much effort to attack Southern Barbarian. He didn't know how many Demon Kings the Eastern Wilderness Demon race had sent this time. The Golden Rock King, who was killed by Gu Fei, Yao Wutian, and the Fire Sparrow King, these three Demon Kings were not weak. The Golden Rock King died unjustly because he met Gu Fei. Gu Fei, who had refined the Emperor Beheader Saber, would even dare to fight against an emperor, let alone a small demon king. The show is about to start. Gu Fei smiled. They came to the east to watch the show. They wouldn't intervene in the war between Southern Barbarian and Eastern Wilderness. If the Eastern Wilderness Demon Race army invaded and occupied most of Southern Barbarian, it wouldn't be a good thing for Gu Fei and the others. The overlord of Eastern Barbarian, the Eastern Barbarian Demon King, wasn't someone to be trifled with. I wonder if Bai Ge and the others can hold on, Saber King Luo Lai said worriedly. Master, will you help? Qiu Qianjian asked carefully. Depends on my mood, Gu Fei said calmly. To this world, he was just a passerby. The reason why he wanted to fight for hegemony was to enter the legendary place in the Void Realm and find the way back. His goal was clear, and everything would go according to his goal. At this moment, the Fire Sparrow King made his move. Countless fireballs rushed out from the godly sun and blasted towards the Eastern Defense City in the air. Boom! A fireball blasted on the protective shield of the Eastern Defense City, and the shield shook immediately. This was a demon king attacking the Eastern Defense City. If it was an ordinary city, a fireball would be enough to blow it up, and everyone in the city would be killed instantly. Dense roars sounded, and the entire Eastern Defense City was shrouded in boundless flames. At this time, countless people in the city felt like they were in a steamer basket. Although the protective shield of the Eastern Defense City blocked the fire, the terrifying heatwave came in from outside the city. Everyone was sweating profusely, and their mouths were dry. "Where's the water, General?" Baigu shouted from the top of the city wall. "I'm here!" Someone responded immediately. In the next moment, a powerful water elemental force erupted from the city. Huge water columns rushed out from the Eastern Guard City, extinguishing most of the raging fire outside the city and suppressing it. Water and fire were incompatible. The Fire Sparrow King and the Water General fought across the sky. The defensive formation of the Eastern Guard City was magical. Attacks from the outside would be blocked by the protective shield, but attacks from outside the city would be useless against them. In other words, attacks from the outside couldn't enter, but attacks from the inside wouldn't be affected at all. Chapter 4969. Gu Fei rose to power and occupied 4 cities, including Barbarian Emperor City. There were even signs that he was going to attack Barbarian Emperor City. But South Barbarian was invaded by the East Barbarian Demon Clan and the West Sea Dragon Clan at the same time. Man Yu, the second son of Barbarian Emperor, had a hard time dealing with them. Fortunately, the eastern region had War God Baigu to block the East Barbarian Demon Clan's army. But the western region was different. West Guard City was full of holes, and the people in the city had run away. Only the soldiers of South Barbarian were fighting in the streets with the West Sea Dragon Clan's army. In the entire West Guard City, only the City Lord's mansion had not been conquered by the West Sea Dragon Clan's army. Because the soldiers guarding West Guard City were not ordinary soldiers, they were the Azure Dragon Army. The most elite army of South Barbarian was the Azure Dragon Army. If he hadn't brought 20,000 Azure Dragon Army soldiers, the City Lord's mansion would have been conquered by the West Sea Dragon Clan's army. Dugu Liang was a powerful existence in the Half-Emperor realm, and he was also one of the famous generals of South Barbarian. But compared to Baigu, he was far inferior. Haha, the Azure Dragon Army of South Barbarian really lives up to its name. A burst of laughter came. A West Sea general riding a wild beast waved a pair of big iron hammers and charged into the Azure Dragon Army's battle formation. The next moment, the West Sea general was drowned by the Azure Dragon Army's battle formation. General Hi-Ho! In the battle formation of West Sea, another general saw this scene and couldn't help but turn pale with fright. The guy named General Hi-Ho was no longer able to charge out of the Azure Dragon Army's battle formation. At this time, the streets around the City Lord's mansion were full of corpses. Most of the corpses were the shrimp soldiers and crab generals of West Sea Dragon Clan. The air was filled with a pungent stench. The soldiers of West Sea Dragon Clan who were killed by the Azure Dragon Army all showed their original forms. With the Azure Dragon Army around, it would not be easy for the West Sea Dragon Clan's army to break through West Guard City. In East Guard City, the war was still going on. The Fire Sparrow King unleashed its full power and turned into a divine bird, flying toward the Eastern Guard City. The gigantic wings of the divine bird covered the sky. Endless flames filled every inch of the void. This bird seems to have the bloodline of the vermilion bird. On the distant mountain ridge, Gu Fei's eyes lit up when he saw this scene. Vermilion bird bloodline? Qiu Qianjian and Luo Lai, who were standing behind Gu Fei, were shocked when they heard this. It should be known that the vermilion bird was a true divine bird, one of the strongest existences in the ethereal realm. However, the vermilion bird had not appeared for a long time. The Fire Sparrow King's claws clawed at the Eastern Guard city's protective shield, causing it to shake violently. Bai Ge, who was standing on top of the city wall, was shocked to see this. The monstrous fire once again engulfed the entire Eastern Guard city. If it wasn't for the protective shield formed by the city defense formation, the entire city would have been burned to ashes. The Water General in the Eastern Guard city couldn't take it anymore. The Fire Sparrow King's fire completely suppressed the Water General's water. At this time, the Water General was so tired that he almost collapsed. Damn it! Bai Ge was shocked and angry at the same time. The Fire Sparrow King kept attacking the Eastern Guard city's city defense formation. Countless southern barbarian soldiers in the city were sweating profusely, and some soldiers even fainted from the heat. Attack! Bai Ge roared. Beams of cold light shot out from the Eastern Guard city, aiming directly at the Fire Sparrow King. The Fire Sparrow King revealed its true form. Its body was bigger than a small mountain, so it couldn't dodge the cold light that shot out from the city. However, when the cold light from the city hit the Fire Sparrow King's body, it was all blown away. The arrows shot from the Eastern Guard city didn't even hit a feather on the Fire Sparrow King's body. Half-Emperor Bai Ge had no choice but to accept this. He flipped his left hand, and a big bow appeared in his hand. He pulled the bow and an endless amount of spiritual chi gathered towards him, and the bow. Kill! When Bai Ji's aura reached its peak, he shot an arrow at the Fire Sparrow King outside the city. Swoosh! The extremely sharp light of the arrow appeared between heaven and earth, like a divine rainbow, and instantly hit the Fire Sparrow King. The next moment, a bird's cry was heard. The Fire Sparrow King retreated with blood dripping from the sky. The Fire Sparrow King was injured by Bai Ji's arrow. However, the injured Fire Sparrow King became even more ferocious. This Fire Sparrow King at the Half-Emperor realm continued to spit out monstrous flames towards the Eastern Guard city. Bai Ge shot a series of shocking light arrows. Even the ferocious Fire Sparrow King had to retreat. I didn't expect this guy to be an expert in archery. Gu Fei sighed. Every arrow that Bai Ge shot seemed to have pierced through the air. Its power was so great that it was absolutely terrifying. Moreover, Bai Ge was also at the Half-Emperor realm. The Fire Sparrow King moved quickly in the void, dodging the light arrows shot by Bai Ge. However, the light arrows shot by Bai Ge were like shadows that wouldn't stop until they hit their target. A dull thud was heard, and the Fire Sparrow King was hit by a few more arrows. At this moment, a huge figure descended from the sky and pounced on the defensive shield above the Eastern Guard city. Boom! Along with a loud bang, the entire Eastern Guard city was pressed down by the figure from the sky by a few hundred feet. Countless southern barbarian soldiers in the city were scared out of their wits by this sudden change. Even the well-trained Azure Dragon army was in an uproar. This is... Bai Ge looked up and saw a huge demon beast that was as huge as a mountain. The demon beast was covered in black scales and pressed on the defensive shield of the Eastern Guard city like a huge mountain. That works? Gu Fei couldn't help but admire the Eastern barbarian demon clan. Boom! 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 The giant beast swung its fist and smashed on the defensive shield of the Eastern Guard city, causing the shield to shake violently. Take my arrow too! An angry roar was heard. Then Bai Ge saw a person in the void opposite him drawing a bow and shooting an arrow at him. What? Bai Ge noticed that there was a strange glow on the arrowhead of the arrow. Pfft! The arrow hit the defensive shield of the Eastern Guard city. The arrow penetrated the shield easily and arrived in front of Bai Ge. Bai Ji's right hand stretched out like lightning and grabbed the arrow that was shot in. He realized that there were runes imprinted on the arrowhead of the arrow. I see! Chapter 49-70. The realm war in the Void Realm was intense. The Eastern Baron Demon Clan launched endless attacks, but the Southern Baron army defending the Eastern Guard city also fought back fiercely. Yao Wutian finally took action personally. His arrow pierced through the protective shield of East Guard city. Although his arrow pierced through the shield, its power was reduced by half. Bai Ge, the god of war, grabbed the arrow. He immediately noticed the problem with the arrow. The arrowhead of the arrow was refined, and there were Tao patterns imprinted inside the arrowhead. Ordinary arrows couldn't pierce through the protective shield of the Eastern Guard city. Kill! Yao Wutian shot 10 arrows consecutively, and 10 rays of light shot towards Bai Ge like meteors. Competing with me in archery? Bai Ge sneered and pulled his bow as well. He shot out 10 arrows, and the light of his arrows was not any weaker than Yao Wutian's. Boom! 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 A deafening explosion sounded, and balls of dazzling light appeared between heaven and earth. Yao Wutian's 10 rays of light were hit by Bai Ji's arrows. Both of their arrows exploded in the air at the same time. Yao Wutian's arrows were all blocked by Bai Ge outside the protective shield of the Eastern Guard city. Everyone attack! Yao Wutian ordered. In the next moment, the roars of countless wild beasts resounded in the sky. Countless flying demonic beasts appeared in the sky. Flaming birds, silver-winged sky wolves, hellbats, flying centipedes, and so on. Countless flying beasts covered the sky, and their murderous intent was shocking. On the ground, there were also countless walking beasts crossing the mountains. Wherever they passed, the primitive forests were razed to the ground. At a glance, there were so many walking beasts on the ground that one couldn't see the end of them. Attack! Attack with all your might! Yao Wutian roared crazily. He didn't want to waste time with Bai Ge anymore. He wanted to attack the hinterland of Southern Baron and the city wall of the Southern Baron royal capital. This lunatic! Beads of sweat appeared on Bai Ji's forehead when he saw this. The thing he was most worried about had happened. He knew very well that if Yao Wutian attacked with all his might, he would not be able to stop him. This was because Yao Wutian's Eastern Wilderness Demon Clan army didn't even need to break through Eastern Guard City. They just needed to break through Eastern Guard City's defense line and kill their way into Southern Barbarian's hinterland. At this moment, the Fire Sparrow King went all out and blocked most of the attacks from East Guard City. As the commander of the Eastern Baron Demon Army, Yao Wutian also took action. This way, the Eastern Guard City's defense line would be easily broken by the Eastern Baron Demon Army. Kill them all! Kill them ruthlessly! Bai Ge roared angrily. The next moment, countless arrows rained down from the Eastern Guard City. Each arrow pierced through the protective shield and landed on the army of beasts on the ground. Countless beasts were shot to death, but more beasts broke through the Eastern Guard City's defense line and entered the Southern Barbarian Mountains. After crossing the East Guard City's defense line, countless walking beasts continued to push forward. Wherever they passed, the human towns and cities were breached, and all the living creatures were torn to pieces by these walking beasts. The Southern Barbarian Army and the Eastern Wilderness Demon Clan Army had been in a stalemate for so long. Finally, they couldn't hold on any longer. Master, this, Qiu Qianjian, who was watching from afar, said anxiously. If the Eastern Wilderness Demon Clan Army broke through the Eastern Guard City's defense line and marched straight in, countless humans would be the ones to suffer. Wherever the Eastern Wilderness Demon Clan Army passed, people would be plunged into misery and suffering. Sigh! Seeing this, Gu Fei's heart sank. At this moment, he could already sense the existence of his inner world. Moreover, he had received the inheritance of Hong Tian Great Emperor on Eternal World's Underworld God Island and inherited his 120,000 divine weapons. Especially the 4 great generals under Hong Tian Great Emperor, they were supreme existences in the Eternal Realm. However, in this void realm, even Gu Fei's cultivation was suppressed, let alone the 4 great generals. If they were released, they would instantly become ordinary people. So troublesome. There was only one way to prevent the 4 great generals and 120,000 divine weapons cultivation from being suppressed. Gu Fei had to inject some of his power into their bodies to help them temporarily resist the suppression of this part of the world. However, in this way, Gu Fei would lose a lot of vitality. Gu Fei had his own army in Southern Man, but distant water could not put out a nearby fire. Master, please allow me to take action, Qiu Qianjian said anxiously. There was a human town dozens of miles away. There were at least tens of thousands of people in this town. This town was on the path that the Eastern Wilderness Demon Clan had to pass through. A town could not stop the Demon Clan army. If no one took action, the tens of thousands of people in this town would be killed by the flood of beasts. This was the lives of tens of thousands of people. They could not turn a blind eye. "All right, you guys go!" Gu Fei nodded and said. After getting Gu Fei's permission, Qiu Qianjian and the Saber King Luo Lai immediately rushed to the sky and killed the beast army that was rushing down the mountain. Buzz! The Sword King made his move. A dazzling sword light descended from the sky and landed directly in the beast army. In the next moment, countless beasts were killed by the sword light. The sword light dissipated, and a sword mark that was hundreds of feet long appeared on the ground. The huge sword mark was like a ravine, and the beasts that rushed up from behind fell into the ravine. The vanguard of the beast army was in a mess. Ambush! Two figures rushed down from the sky and directly attacked Qiu Qianjian and the Saber King Luo Lai. These two great demon experts were in the monarch realm. One of them had golden hair, a tall and ferocious body. He was the Golden Lion King. The Golden Lion King directly confronted Qiu Qianjian. Its pair of claws directly collided with Qiu Qianjian's flying sword, and sparks flew everywhere. The other demon king was the Barbarian Bull King. This barbarian bull relied on its invulnerable demon body to charge around. Saber King Luo Lai's saber only left a faint mark on its horns. It was useless for them to attack as they were directly blocked by the two demon kings. After a moment of panic, the army of beasts on the ground rushed forward again. At this time, Bai Ge, the god of war in the Eastern Guard city, had no other choice because they had blocked the air force of the Eastern Baron demon race. The Eastern Guard city was full of energy. Countless divine lights rushed out from the city and mercilessly strangled countless flying beasts in the sky. The Fire Sparrow King's attack was even more ferocious and terrifying. The entire Eastern Guard city was shrouded in a monstrous fire. The Fire Sparrow King was fighting with all his might. Several parts of the Demon King's body were directly shot by Bai Ge. The places that were shot had bloody holes, and blood was seeping out from each hole. At this time, Gu Fei finally settled it. "Come out!" Gu Fei roared. He waved his hands in front of him, and a huge crack appeared in the sky. Then countless soldiers rushed out from the crack, and their battle cries were deafening. This Chapter 4971. Gu Fei made his move. He tore open the void and released the 120,000 divine soldiers in the Hongtian realm. Banners fluttered in the wind, iron armors gleamed coldly, and every soldier was like an antique that had existed since ancient times. Every soldier exuded shocking killing intent. In some distant era, their might had struck fear into the hearts of their enemies. They had followed Grand Emperor Vast Sky to conquer all directions. They were soldiers who had never died in 100 battles. The 120,000 divine soldiers appeared in the world. Even though they appeared in the void realm, it still caused the world to change color. Seeing this scene, everyone was shocked to the extreme, especially Yao Wutian, who had been in the picture of victory. He was even more dumbfounded. How could there be such an army in Nanman? Impossible! It should be known that the Eastern Wilderness Demon Clan did not attack Nanman casually. The Eastern Wilderness Demon Clan had spies all over Nanman. The Eastern Wilderness Demon Clan had already figured out the ins and outs of Nanman. The Southern Barbarians only had one strong army, and that was the Azure Dragon Army. However, the Azure Dragon Army only had 100,000 soldiers. However, the army in front of him was definitely not the Azure Dragon Army. This was an army that even Yao Wutian didn't know about. Could it be? Yao Wutian thought of a possibility. Could it be that the barbarian emperor had retrained an army that was even stronger than the Azure Dragon Army? And he had not received any news about it in advance? It was impossible. How could the Southern Wilderness hide anything from the Eastern Wilderness Demon Clan? Yao Wutian never dreamed that this army was not the army of Nanman, nor the army of the Void Realm. It was the army of the Eternal World. Moreover, this army was trained by the Hongtian Emperor in the Eternal World countless years ago. The Hongtian Emperor was a supreme emperor of the infinite prime realm. The army trained by him was naturally extraordinary. However, after releasing the 120,000 divine soldiers, Gu Fei's face was pale, as if he had been fighting for 3 days and 3 nights. He looked very tired. Master! Qiu Qianjian and the Saber King Luo Lai were the most shocked. They had never imagined that Gu Fei had hidden such an army. No wonder Master dared to go against the barbarian emperor. It seemed that Master had the confidence and strength to compete with the barbarian emperor. Kill all these demons! Gu Fei ordered. Kill! The 4 generals led the army and charged towards the demonic beast army. The heavenly divine soldiers descended from the sky and charged into the demonic beast army. The next moment, countless demonic beasts were killed by the spears in the hands of the divine soldiers. This was a one-sided massacre. Gu Fei's divine soldiers were extremely powerful. They completely ignored the attacks of the demonic beasts because the attacks of the demonic beasts could not hurt them at all. To be precise, the army of demonic beasts was not on the same level as Gu Fei's heaven divine soldiers. In the eyes of the heaven divine soldiers, the army of demonic beasts could not withstand a single blow. Retreat! King retreat! Yao Wutian roared at the army of demonic beasts. He had no choice but to retreat. If he didn't retreat, the hundreds of thousands of demonic beasts under his command would all die here. At that time, he would become a general without a single arm. The internal struggles of the Eastern Baron demon race were also very intense, so Yao Wutian had to conserve his strength. Woo! A horn resounded through the sky. The countless demonic beasts that were rushing towards Gu Fei's divine soldiers turned around and retreated in the next moment. The army of demonic beasts retreated, leaving behind countless corpses. Gu Fei did not give the order to chase after them because there was a time limit for his divine soldiers to appear in the void realm. Once the aura of the law of heaven and earth that Gu Fei had injected into the divine soldiers disappeared, the cultivation of these divine soldiers would be suppressed by the law of heaven and earth in the void realm. At that time, it would be their turn to be tortured by the army of demonic beasts. At this moment, the Golden Lion King and the Barbaric Bull Kings saw that the situation was not good and immediately fled. Even the powerful Qiu Qianjian and the Saber King Luo Lai could not stop these 2 fellows. As the ground troops retreated, Yao Wutian's air force also retreated. The army of the Eastern Baron demon race had completely retreated. Yao Wutian was filled with hatred. If it were not for the sudden appearance of that army, he would have already killed his way into the southern hinterland. Who was that black-clothed young man who had ruined his master's plan? Retreat! The army of the demon race has retreated! Bursts of cheers came from the Eastern Guard city. All the soldiers in the city were extremely excited. However, General Baigu of the Eastern Guard city looked at the army that was even more powerful than the Azure Dragon army with a solemn face. Whose army was this? Although Baigu had retired for decades, it did not mean that he did not know anything about what had happened in the southern Baron royal capital. The army that had suddenly appeared and repelled the army of the Eastern Baron demon race was definitely not the army of the Baron Emperor. At this moment, Gu Fei opened the Hongtian realm again and put the 120,000 divine soldiers into his inner world. The 4 generals also entered the Hongtian realm. Let's go too! Gu Fei called Qiu Qianjian and the Saber King Luo Lai, then directly flew into the sky and left the Eastern Guard city with them. Unbeknownst to Gu Fei, there was a blurry figure hidden in the clouds that was witnessing the entire scene. I did not expect that Gu Fei had such a terrifying army. Who is this guy? Where did he come from? The figure in the cloud layer also disappeared. However, Baigu did not expect that the black-robed young man who had helped him would just leave like that. What's going on? No matter how hard Baigu thought about it, he could not figure out why the black-robed young man would help him. He did not even know him. In fact, Gu Fei was not helping Baigu, but helping the human race. If the army of the Eastern Baron demon race invaded the hinterland of Southern Baron, countless people would be killed and injured. This was what Gu Fei did not want to see. When the news of the great victory in the eastern part of Southern Baron reached the Southern Baron royal capital, the second son of the Baron Emperor, Man Yu, was very happy. It should be known that he was the one who went against the majority and promoted the god of war, Bai Ge, who had been in seclusion for many years. Now, the god of war did not let him down. However, Man Yu was not happy for a long time. This was because a shocking news had reached the southern Baron royal capital. The southern Baron sorcerer tribe had rebelled. The sorcerer emperor of the southern Baron sorcerer tribe came out of seclusion and directly attacked more than a dozen cities. When this news reached the southern Baron royal capital, the entire southern Baron royal capital was in chaos. Countless people fled the royal capital with their families. Even the resourceful second son of the Baron Emperor, Man Yu, was in a mess. The sorcerer emperor came out of seclusion? Interesting. Gu Fei, who was rushing back to the Baron royal capital, was also a little surprised when he heard this news. At this time, the entire southern Baron royal capital was in chaos because the power of the sorcerer tribe was deeply rooted in southern Baron. Even if they had been suppressed by the Baron Emperor, their power was still not to be underestimated. Chapter 4972. The mysterious Shaman Emperor came out of seclusion. Once the news of the Shaman Emperor coming out of seclusion spread, it immediately caused a stir in the entire southern wilderness. Even the super forces of the other regions in the Void Realm were alarmed. The Shaman Emperor was the former master of southern wilderness. 3,000 years ago, the Shaman Emperor rose and fought with the Shaman Emperor. The Shaman Emperor was defeated and went into seclusion, and the Shaman Emperor became the new master of southern wilderness. Since that shocking battle, the Shaman Emperor disappeared from everyone's sight. Some people even said that the Shaman Emperor was seriously injured in the battle with the Shaman Emperor and died. However, some people also said that the Shaman Emperor would not die so easily. Although the sorcerer tribe was oppressed by the Shaman Emperor, and their strength was constantly weakened by the Shaman Emperor, a starving camel was still bigger than a horse. Even until today, the strength of the sorcerer tribe was still not to be underestimated. When the Shaman Emperor appeared, countless tribes immediately changed sides and directly rebelled against the Shaman Emperor. At this time, Man Yu, who was in the southern wilderness royal capital, was already in a mess. No one would have thought that the sorcerer tribe would make such a move. How could Man Yu withstand it? The Shaman Emperor's rule over southern wilderness was already in a precarious situation. The appearance of the Shaman Emperor was definitely the straw that broke the camel's back. At this time, everyone could see that the Shaman Emperor's power was lost. However, the Shaman Emperor had not returned yet. The Shaman Emperor was the biggest variable in southern wilderness. Just as the southern wilderness was in a turbulent situation, in the depths of an ancient relic in Zhongtian, 5 extremely powerful figures stood on an ancient altar. Each of these 5 figures burst out with a shocking aura. One of them was the current master of southern wilderness, the Shaman Emperor. The 5 most powerful existences wanted to open this ancient altar, but the altar still didn't move. The 5 monarch realm existences joined forces and couldn't open this altar. The Shaman Emperor was in a difficult situation. He didn't want to waste any more time, but it wasn't easy to get out now because this ancient altar actually sucked in his power. At this time, the southern wilderness was in turmoil. The Shaman Emperor of the sorcerer tribe had appeared. The sorcerer tribe finally didn't have to endure anymore, and the army of the sorcerer tribe began to gather. Under the lead of the 8 great shaman kings, the shaman tribe's army began to attack the city, and the vanguard of the army headed straight for the southern Man imperial capital. On the other hand, Gu Fei had suddenly calmed down. He'd returned to the barbarian emperor city precisely to guard these 4 cities, and no matter what happened outside, he wouldn't care about it at all. Even the emissaries of the sorcerer tribe were blocked outside the super formation. Even the face of the heaven shaman priest was no longer useful. Gu Fei refused to see anyone and hid in the barbarian emperor city. "Get out of my way!" Outside the city gate of the barbarian emperor city, the heaven shaman priest stared at Qiu Qianjian and roared. "Your Highness, you should go back first." Qiu Qianjian said to the heaven shaman priest in neither servile nor overbearing manner. The emissary of the barbarian sovereign was blocked from entering the area of the 4 cities. This made the heaven shaman priest very unhappy, so he came personally. After all, a heaven magus priestess had a special status. She was engaged to Gu Fei before. However, a heaven shaman priest wanted to enter the barbarian emperor city? Sorry, I can't. You dare to stop me? The heaven shaman priest was enraged. Master said that he won't see anyone, even if the shaman emperor comes personally. Qiu Qianjian's attitude was too unyielding. What? The heaven shaman priest was shocked and angry. What was Gu Fei trying to do? She glanced at Qiu Qianjian. Qiu Qianjian was the famous sword king of the south. If this guy didn't let her enter the barbarian emperor city, there was nothing she could do. Let's go! The heaven shaman priest had no choice but to turn and leave. Seeing the heaven shaman priest turn and leave, Qiu Qianjian secretly heaved a sigh of relief. He wasn't afraid of offending others, but the heaven shaman priest was engaged to his master. At this time, Gu Fei was in the barbarian emperor city, circulating his Xian qi and absorbing the spiritual qi of heaven and earth to recover his exhausted essence qi. Previously in the Eastern Guard city, he didn't want to see the people in misery and suffering, so he used the heavenly divine weapon of the Hong Tian realm. However, the price of using the heavenly divine weapon was too high. Even as strong as Gu Fei was, he almost couldn't bear it. He had to return to the barbarian emperor city and decline all visitors. At this time, in the Western Guard city of the South Barbarian, along with a roar, countless West Sea Dragon clan soldiers rushed into the Western Guard city. The entire Western Guard city was finally breached by the West Sea army. At the same time, Zhuge Liang led the Azure Dragon army and broke through the blockade of the West Sea Dragon clan's army. He directly killed his way out of the Western Guard city and fled in panic. He had no choice but to escape. Zhuge Liang had no intention of dying for Man Yu. At this time, the Azure Dragon army that he brought also suffered a lot of casualties. However, the Azure Dragon army was worthy of being the strongest army in the South Barbarian. When the Azure Dragon army charged, a large number of West Sea Dragon clan soldiers fell to the ground, stabbed to death by the spears in the hands of the Azure Dragon army. The West Sea Dragon clan's army simply couldn't stop the Azure Dragon army. Damn it! Looking at the Azure Dragon army that killed their way out of the Western Guard city, the commander of the West Sea Dragon clan was so angry that he almost vomited blood. Although they had conquered the Western Guard city, Zhuge Liang had escaped with the Azure Dragon army. This made the commander of the West Sea Dragon clan extremely resentful. One must know that the 20,000 Azure Dragon army had caused great losses to the West Sea Dragon clan. The West Sea Dragon clan could be said to have suffered great losses. After conquering the Western Guard city, the West Sea Dragon clan's army had to rest and reorganize. Then, they would attack the hinterland of the South Barbarian and open up new territory for the West Sea Dragon clan. However, Zhuge Liang didn't stay idle. Zhuge Liang had set up traps in the cities and towns along the way. It was impossible for the West Sea Dragon clan's army to march straight in. At this time, the legendary Shaman Emperor actually appeared in the South Barbarian Imperial City. This was because the vanguard of the Shaman tribe had already arrived at the city. As long as they conquered the Imperial City, the Shaman Emperor's rule over the South Barbarian would end. Man Yu, come out and surrender! The Shaman King, Wu Fang, shouted loudly outside the city gate of the South Barbarian Imperial City. His voice traveled into the South Barbarian Imperial City, and into the ears of every living creature in the city. What? In the Imperial Palace, Man Yu was quite frightened. He didn't even dream that the Shaman tribe's army would arrive so quickly. Countless living creatures in the South Barbarian Imperial City were also extremely terrified. Everyone knew that once the Shaman tribe attacked, many people would die in the city. The 30,000 Azure Dragon army was already on the move. The Azure Dragon army was right behind the city gate. As long as the city gate was opened, the 30,000 Azure Dragon army would rush out without hesitation. Although Gu Fei was cultivating in the South Barbarian Imperial City and recovering his vitality, his subordinates were paying close attention to the movements in the South Barbarian Imperial City. When the news that the shaman tribe's army had already arrived at the city came, everyone was inexplicably shocked. "Surrender, and you will be spared!" Chapter 4973. The witch race army actually killed their way to the southern Man royal capital so quickly. This caused all the major powers in the city to be in a mess. No one thought that the witch race army would arrive so quickly. The imperial palace was already in a mess. Countless palace maids and eunuchs were packing their things, planning to escape. There was even a phenomenon of looting in the imperial palace. The guards of the imperial palace also joined in the looting. This way, the imperial palace became even more chaotic. Man Yu, the second son of Man Huang, rode a golden divine lion and led 1,000 azure dragon army soldiers into the imperial palace. "Kill them!" Man Yu ordered. The azure dragon army under him immediately rushed up and killed all the palace maids and eunuchs who were looting, and even the guards of the imperial palace. No matter how these people begged, it was useless. The azure dragon army was an experienced army. It was simply too easy for them to deal with these palace maids and eunuchs. They basically stabbed them to death with a single spear strike. The palace maids and eunuchs who didn't participate in the looting all survived. They weren't the targets of the azure dragon army. "Whoever dares to cause trouble in the imperial palace will die." Man Yu left the 1,000 azure dragon army soldiers behind and directly rushed towards the gates of the imperial city. The golden divine lion under him was incomparably ferocious. When it ran on the streets, it was extremely eye-catching. However, at this time, the city was in a mess. Who had the time to care about whether Man Yu's mount was eye-catching or not? Escaping was more important. "Those who surrender will not be killed!" A loud shout came from outside the city. All the major powers in the city immediately made up their minds. No one wanted to die. Since they could live, there was no reason not to live, right? "I will kill whoever dares to surrender." Man Yu climbed up the city gate tower and shouted towards the city. Countless people in the city didn't put Man Yu, this hedonistic son, in their eyes. This fellow's actions in the southern Man royal capital had left a bad impression on them. In order to hide his strength, Man Yu had always been acting like a pig to eat tigers. Now that he suddenly rose up, many people didn't think much of it. "Man Yu, do you want to die?" Just at this moment, a roar came from outside the city. Outside the city, Shaman King Wu Fang stood on the war chariot and looked coldly at Man Yu. "Wu Fang, you bastard! Have you forgotten how you knelt at my father's feet and begged him to spare your life?" Man Yu roared at Wu Fang, who was on the chariot outside the city. "What did you say? I originally wanted to leave your corpse intact, but now it seems like I should tear you into 1,000 pieces." Wu Fang said angrily with a sullen face. "Do you have the ability?" Man Yu mocked. "You're courting death." Wu Fang's face was ugly to the extreme. What happened back then was a great humiliation to him, and this Man Yu actually said it out loud in front of everyone. This made him feel too ashamed to show his face. With a flip of his right hand, a spear immediately appeared in his hand. Wu Fang directly threw the battle spear in his hand towards Man Yu. A cold light flashed through the air. The battle spear instantly pierced Man Yu's chest. It looked like it was going to kill him. At this critical moment, a big hand suddenly stretched out from the side and grabbed the spear. A one-eyed old man dressed in black appeared beside Man Yu. "One-eyed old man, you're actually not dead?" When Wu Fang saw the old man in black, he couldn't help but be surprised. The battle in Black Fog City was carried out under Wu Fang's eyes. The one-eyed old man was chased away by the power of the super formation activated by the red-browed Eagle King. He didn't expect that he could actually escape from the red-browed Eagle King. "You, Wu Fang, are not dead yet. How can I let you live freely?" The one-eyed old man sneered. "Do you dare to come out and fight?" Wu Fang, who was standing on the war chariot, said proudly. He was the first shaman king to kill his way to the southern barbarian royal capital. If he could break through the southern barbarian royal capital, it would definitely be a great merit. He didn't know that their shaman king was already in the city. At the peak of the southern barbarian royal palace stood a white figure. The countless guards in the palace seemed to be unable to see the person in white on the palace roof. The person in white stood against the wind. His white clothes fluttered in the wind, elegant and otherworldly. This was the highest place in the entire southern barbarian royal capital. Standing at the peak of the palace, one could overlook the entire southern barbarian royal capital. After 3,000 years, he was finally back. The battle that year shook the earth and the sky. The royal capital was half destroyed. 3,000 years had passed, and the royal capital had once again become incomparably prosperous. However, the royal capital today was the same as 3,000 years ago. It was in chaos. Perhaps this was the legendary reincarnation. 3,000 years ago, the barbarian emperor's army arrived at the royal capital. Wasn't it the same as today? Although the people today were no longer the people of the past, and the ones who arrived at the city were the shaman tribe, what difference did it make? Boom! Bam! A dull collision sound rang out outside the royal capital. The two great experts began to fight. This made the shaman king frown. Outside the southern barbarian royal capital, above the sky, two figures were moving quickly. Powerful yuan qi waves dispersed the clouds in the sky. The two great experts who were fighting were the one-eyed old man and the shaman king, Wu Fang. Both of them were existences of the half-emperor realm. It was not an easy task to determine the victor in a short period of time. However, the one-eyed old man was injured by the red-browed eagle king. In this way, the one-eyed old man would probably die. Sure enough, with a heavy blow from Wu Fang, the one-eyed old man was sent flying. Boom! He crashed into the city wall, creating a human-shaped pit on the city wall. When Man Yu saw this scene, he couldn't help but be shocked and angry. Even the one-eyed old man couldn't stop Wu Fang. It was only a matter of time before the southern barbarian royal capital was broken through. The one-eyed old man struggled to rush out from the city wall. Kill! Wu Fang was incomparably powerful. His killing intent soared as he directly attacked the one-eyed old man. The clothes on the chest of the one-eyed old man were stained with blood. It was obvious that his injuries were not light. This guy didn't want to die, so he directly rushed into the city. At the same time, Man Yu directly activated the Great City Barrier Formation. A dazzling lightning descended from the sky and ruthlessly struck towards Wu Fang. A powerful destructive aura spread out. Wu Fang was shocked. He couldn't care less about chasing after the one-eyed old man and directly dodged. With a thunderclap, the ground was blasted into a large pit by the lightning. Wu Fang stretched out his hand and wiped the sweat on his forehead. The power of the southern barbarian royal capital's Great City Barrier Formation was not to be underestimated. If he was struck by that lightning just now, even if he didn't die, he would at least lose a layer of skin. Want to attack? Whoever comes will die! Man Yu roared from the city wall. Is that so? At this moment, a voice rang out. Then, a figure walked over from afar. Gu Fei? Chapter 4974. Gu Fei? Gu Fei suddenly appeared when the sorcerer race's army approached the city. This made Man Yu extremely shocked. He already had a headache when the sorcerer race's army surrounded the city. Now there was another ruthless character. How could he survive? He actually came? When the shaman king, Wu Fang, saw Gu Fei, he was taken aback. Wasn't this guy in seclusion? He didn't even see the heaven shaman priest, Wu Lingxue. Why did he suddenly appear here? What was his purpose for appearing here? Wu Fang thought of many things. Gu Fei definitely wouldn't appear here for no reason. Everyone had a purpose for everything they did. The era of the barbarian sovereign should end. Gu Fei stood in the void and said to Man Yu on the city tower. What did you say? Man Yu was shocked and angry when he heard this. If you have the ability, then come in. If not, then scram. Man Yu pointed his sword at Gu Fei and roared crazily. Gu Fei smiled and didn't say anything. Brother Gu, aren't you in seclusion? Wu Fang smiled at Gu Fei. You're very well informed. Gu Fei smiled. There's nothing in South China that the sorcerer race doesn't know, Wu Fang said proudly. He wasn't bragging. The sorcerer race's forces were spread all over South China. There were strongholds of the sorcerer race in all the big and small cities in South China. Even in some small tribes, there were informants of the sorcerer race. Everything that happened in South China couldn't escape the eyes of the sorcerer race. This was also one of the reasons why the barbarian sovereign feared the sorcerer race. The sorcerer race's forces were everywhere in South China. Then do you know why I'm here? Gu Fei asked. This? Wu Fang didn't know what to say as an awkward expression appeared on his face. He really didn't know why Gu Fei had suddenly appeared here. I heard that the sorcerer emperor has appeared, Gu Fei said indifferently. Wu Fang couldn't help but be shocked when he heard this. Could it be that this fellow had come for the shaman emperor? Even though Wu Fang was a shaman king, he couldn't see through Gu Fei's cultivation. This made Wu Fang very shocked. Could it be that this guy's cultivation had already reached a level where he could fight against the shaman emperor? The shaman sovereign was a sovereign that had lived for countless years. He had once fought against the southern barbarian sovereign, and the battle had shaken the heavens and the earth. Even the southern barbarian sovereign was half destroyed. 2 emperors had appeared in the southern barbarians. Back then, they had turned the barbarians upside down. Now, if another emperor appeared in the southern barbarians, the consequences would be unimaginable. Thinking of this, the Witch King, Wu Fang, broke out in cold sweat. Gu Fei suddenly turned around and looked towards the Southman royal capital. He can actually see me? The figure standing at the top of the imperial palace of Nanman was taken aback. In the next moment, the figure disappeared into the void without a trace. Hey, you run really fast. Gu Fei smiled. He didn't have the intention to attack the southern barbarian royal capital. However, Man Yu, who was on the city gate tower, stared at Gu Fei nervously. He hated Gu Fei to the core because the root of all the troubles was Gu Fei. If it wasn't for this guy's strong rise, the southern barbarians wouldn't be in chaos. At this time, the sorcerer race had also raised their troops. In addition to the East Wilderness and the West Sea, how could Man Yu, the second son of the barbarian sovereign, withstand the internal and external troubles? Little brother Gu, how about coming to my tent for a chat? Wu Fang didn't dare to be arrogant in front of Gu Fei because Gu Fei was a ruthless person who could easily kill a half-step sovereign realm expert. This guy's cultivation was unfathomable. Hee, sure. Gu Fei laughed. Please. Wu Fang was very happy because he could invite Gu Fei. Under the guidance of Wu Fang, Gu Fei entered the Wu Fang's tent outside the royal capital. As for what they talked about, only the 2 of them knew. When the people outside the tent saw Gu Fei coming out, they were very satisfied. Then, they soared into the sky and disappeared into the distance. When the heaven shaman priest received the news and rushed over, Gu Fei had already left. The heaven shaman priest stomped her feet angrily. Gu Fei always came and went alone, so she couldn't find him. Ah, uncle, why did you let that guy go? The heaven shaman priest said angrily. She had personally gone to the barbarian royal city to find this guy, but he didn't show up. This made her very angry. I can't catch that guy. Wu Fang shrugged and said helplessly. What? The heaven shaman priest couldn't help but be shocked. She was very clear about her uncle's strength. Even he couldn't catch that guy Gu Fei? That guy was actually strong enough to compete with a shaman king? In fact, the heaven shaman priest still underestimated Gu Fei. Even Wu Fang couldn't see through the current Gu Fei. At this time, where did Gu Fei go? He and Wu Fang established an alliance, which was considered an alliance. The sorcerer tribe wanted to share the world with him. Of course, it was only the world of Southern Man. The other regions of the Void Realm were not included in their alliance. However, Gu Fei was very clear that an alliance would only take effect between 2 parties with equal strength. If one party was stronger than the other, then such an alliance would be useless. Because no one wanted to share power with others. Compared to the sorcerer tribe, Gu Fei's foundation was too weak. His capital was only the barbarian royal city, Black Fog City, Sky Eagle City, and Thousand Beast City. Moreover, his 4 major cities were in the worst geographical location. They were barren mountains and unruly rivers, a place where even birds wouldn't poop. The army under his command was also the weakest among all the cities in southern Man. No matter how one looked at it, he was weak in front of the sorcerer tribe. Gu Fei rushed back to the barbarian royal city and mobilized his army. He wanted to give people the illusion that he had turned out in full force. In fact, he really turned out in full force. The Sky Eagle Army of Sky Eagle City, the Black Mountain Army of Shan Kuei of Barbarian Royal City, the Black Armor Army of Black Fog City, and the Thousand Beast Army of Thousand Beast City. Each city sent out 50,000 troops. 4 cities sent out 200,000 troops. This was Gu Fei's base. 200,000 elite soldiers. However, compared to the sorcerer tribe, this army was too lacking. Any city controlled by the sorcerer tribe had hundreds of thousands of troops. Apart from the imperial city, there were 19 cities scattered all over southern Man. Each city controlled a very large area. The entire southern Man was divided into 19 regions. The city lord of each region was a local tyrant. The city lord of these 19 cities was also a vassal king conferred by the barbarian emperor. When the barbarian emperor was around, these 19 vassal kings naturally did not dare to make any moves. However, now that the barbarian emperor was born, some vassal kings turned to the barbarian emperor. The strength of the 19 vassal kings was still very strong. Any random vassal king's family background was more than 10 times that of Gu Fei. The area where the barbarian royal city was located was relatively special. The 4 major cities did not belong to any vassal king, but to the barbarian emperor of southern Man. As soon as Gu Fei's army left the boundary of the barbarian royal city, it immediately became difficult to move. Chapter 4975. In the end, Gu Fei still allied with the sorcerer tribe. He had made an agreement with the shaman king, Wu Fang, to send troops to block the West Sea's army that was invading southern Man. However, who would have thought that when his army had just left the boundary of Man Imperial City, they would be intercepted by the army of Fierce Tiger King, one of the 19 feudal lords of southern Man. The Fierce Tiger King was the barbarian king's trusted aide and was extremely loyal to the barbarian king. Since Gu Fei dared to rebel against the barbarian king, the Fierce Tiger King naturally couldn't let Gu Fei go. If Gu Fei stayed in the barbarian emperor's city, no one could do anything to him. But now, his army had left the barbarian emperor's city and left the range of the Super Grand Formation. In this way, the Fierce Tiger King had no scruples. Gu Fei, come out and die! The ferocious Tiger King wore golden armor and held a golden halberd in his hand. He rode on a golden war tiger, looking very majestic. A tiger roar almost scared away Gu Fei's army of 200,000. This guy. Gu Fei saw the Fierce Tiger King and couldn't help but praise him. This was definitely a fierce general. Moreover, this guy also had the cultivation of a half-step emperor realm. Fierce Tiger King, if you don't want to die, then take your men and scram. Qiu Qianjian stepped forward and said coldly. You cripple, scram as far as you can. Otherwise, I'll slap you to death. The Fierce Tiger King mocked. What did you say? Qiu Qianjian was furious. He had lost an arm, so he hated people calling him a cripple. This Fierce Tiger King had directly poked his sore spot. What? Do you dare to fight me? The Fierce Tiger King sneered. You! Qiu Qianjian was shocked and angry, but he didn't lose his reason. The opponent was a half-step Emperor realm expert. Fighting this guy was simply courting death. A bunch of cowards! The Fierce Tiger King's face was full of disdain. Some people just don't know life from death. At this moment, a voice rang out. Then, Gu Fei walked out and looked indifferently at the mighty and domineering Fierce Tiger King. Master! Qiu Qianjian and the others hurriedly bowed to Gu Fei. You're Gu Fei? The ferocious Tiger King stared at the black-clothed youth in front of him, and its eyes became incomparably sharp. Gu Fei's appearance was really too young. He was an elegant youth, and this was the guy who killed the barbarian emperor's third and first sons. Seeing Gu Fei, the fierce Tiger King finally understood what it meant to not judge a book by its cover. That's right. I heard that you told me to come out and die, so I came out. I'm very curious, how do you want me to die? Gu Fei said disapprovingly. You little brat, no one has ever dared to be impudent in front of me, the fierce Tiger King. You are the first, I admire your courage. The fierce Tiger King said coldly. Cut the crap, I still have to hurry on with my journey. Gu Fei was getting impatient. Since you want to die early and reincarnate early, I will fulfill your wish. The fierce Tiger King shouted, and directly rode the golden war tiger towards Gu Fei. He waved the golden halberd in his hand, and slashed down on Gu Fei's head. Although the fierce Tiger King said that he didn't put Gu Fei in his eyes, he didn't dare to be negligent in his heart. One must know that this Gu Fei was someone who dared to kill the barbarian emperor's first and third sons. The fierce Tiger King looked like a casual attack, but in reality, the power of this attack was not small. However, in the next moment, everyone's eyeballs almost fell to the ground. They saw Gu Fei stretch out his right hand, and actually directly grabbed the golden halberd in his hand. Gu Fei completely disregarded the sharpness of the golden halberd. And the golden halberd in the fierce Tiger King's hand was not an ordinary item, it was the fierce Tiger King's life-divine weapon. This attack of his could even split a mountain in half. However, Gu Fei actually grabbed the halberd with one hand. Let go! Gu Fei's hand that was holding the golden halberd shook, and directly snatched the golden halberd from the fierce Tiger King's hand. The fierce Tiger King was shocked to the extreme, and he was directly stunned. You are only SOSO. Gu Fei said indifferently. Retreat! The fierce Tiger King roared, and wanted to retreat. However, how could there be such a good thing in this world? Since he came, there was no need to leave. Gu Fei didn't say anything, and directly threw the golden halberd he snatched from the fierce Tiger King towards the fierce Tiger King. The ferocious Tiger King wanted to copy Gu Fei's actions and also wanted to reach out to catch the golden halberd thrown by Gu Fei. However, his hand shook and the golden halberd didn't manage to catch it. The halberd directly penetrated his chest. How is this possible? The fierce Tiger King didn't expect that Gu Fei was actually strong to this extent. A casual throw of the golden halberd could also seriously injure him. Seeing this scene, everyone was shocked to the extreme. Especially Qiu Qianjian, the red-browed Eagle King, and the others looked at this scene in disbelief. The fierce Tiger King was an expert of the half-emperor realm. Casually defeating the fierce Tiger King? This scene was truly unbelievable. Gu Fei's strength had far exceeded the expectations of Qiu Qianjian and the others. Could it be that he had actually cultivated to the emperor realm? The fierce Tiger King's subordinates were also scared silly, and all of them were dumbfounded. Damn it! The fierce Tiger King pulled out the golden halberd from his chest, and a gush of blood immediately spurted out from the wound. He hurriedly stopped the bleeding. With the fierce Tiger King's cultivation, being pierced by the halberd wouldn't be fatal, but the pain was unavoidable. However, at this time, Gu Fei moved. Boom! He directly crashed towards the fierce Tiger King like a meteor. Bang! Crack! The sound of bones breaking came from the fierce Tiger King's body. After knocking the fierce Tiger King away, Gu Fei casually slapped the golden war Tiger King to death. Seeing this scene, Qiu Qianjian and the others were directly dumbfounded. There was no suspense at all. The fierce Tiger King came out to be a clown. In front of Gu Fei, he didn't even have the strength to fight back. In the end, the fierce Tiger King was sent flying thousands of meters away by Gu Fei's punch, and all the bones in his body were broken. If Gu Fei wanted to kill the fierce Tiger King, even if the fierce Tiger King had 10 lives, it still wouldn't be enough. After defeating the fierce Tiger King, his subordinates rescued him, and the army of hundreds of thousands was actually defeated without a fight. Even Gu Fei was very surprised. There was no other way, the opponent was really too strong. If he didn't escape, then he would die. After defeating the fierce Tiger King, Gu Fei directly led his army towards the western part of the southern wilderness. The news that one of the 19 vassal kings of the southern wilderness, the fierce Tiger King, was crippled by Gu Fei spread, and it directly caused a sensation in the southern wilderness. One must know that the fierce Tiger King was one of the strongest among the 19 vassal kings. In this way, who still dared to intercept Gu Fei? Everywhere Gu Fei led the army, the various vassal kings actually retreated one after another. No one wanted to follow in the fierce Tiger King's footsteps. After all, if they were crippled, they would still be alive. If they angered Gu Fei and were killed by him, then they would be extremely unlucky. That fierce Tiger King was still considered lucky. And at this time, the West Sea Dragon clan's army marched straight in and captured countless cities. The 19 vassal kings didn't really put forth their strength to resist the West Sea Dragon clan's army. Chapter 49-76. Although Gu Fei led the worst army in southern Man, the 19 vassals of southern Man could not wait to avoid them. This was definitely a strange thing that had never happened in the history of southern Man. This made the 8 witch kings of the sorcerer tribe dumbfounded. No one expected such an outcome. It was really one person who scared off 1,000,000 soldiers. Originally, the witch king, Wu Fang, was not optimistic about Gu Fei at all. One must know that the barbarian emperor had been operating in southern Man for 3,000 years. How could his power be a joke? Although the sorcerer tribe's army surrounded the southern Man royal capital, the sorcerer tribe's army was also surrounded by the 19 vassal kings. Of course, among the 19 vassal kings, there were also many vassal kings who sided with the sorcerer tribe and temporarily blocked the other vassal kings. However, among the 19 vassal kings, the barbarian emperor's trusted aides accounted for the majority. In order to consolidate his rule over southern Man, the barbarian emperor naturally infected his own people as vassals. In the entire southern Man, most of the area was still under the rule of the barbarian emperor. The sorcerer tribe occupied only a small part of the area. Even with the addition of Gu Fei's territory, it was still not enough. However, Gu Fei's ferocity made everyone's heart palpitate. No one wanted to face this malignant star. One must know that even the barbarian emperor's first son, Man Xiong, and third son, Man Yao, were killed by this guy. In southern Man, who was there that Gu Fei did not dare to kill? At this time, even Gu Fei's disciple could hold her own. Xiao Yu's cultivation had broken through to the demigod realm. Her cultivation speed was really a bit abnormal. In fact, this Xiao Yu had some background. This guy was quite ruthless. He actually shed his original body and reincarnated into the body of a human. She was actually the god worshipped by the people of the Black Mountain tribe. This was a different kind of reincarnation. As she grew older and her cultivation improved, she would awaken the memory of her previous life. This was also the reason why her cultivation speed was so fast. Although Xiao Yu was only 7 or 8 years old, even Shan Kui had to bow his head and listen to his orders. At such a young age, he was wearing battle armor, had a divine sword at his waist, and was riding a tall horse. He had a valiant and formidable temperament. Gu Fei's army was unimpeded all the way and directly entered the western part of Nanman. Soon, they discovered the scouts of the West Sea Dragon clan. At this time, all the feudal vassals were watching the show. If Gu Fei can defeat the West Sea Dragon race, I'll eat dirt. So ruthless? Even the Azure Dragon army is no match for the West Ocean Dragon clan. What does Gu Fei amount to? Do you want to bet? In the distant sky, there were a few figures standing. They were looking at Gu Fei's military camp that was situated between the mountains. They were the Shaman King, Wu Ying, one of the 19 vassal kings, the North Garrison King, the Heaven Battering King, and the Nature Elephant King. They were all from the Shaman tribe. On the other side, the vassal kings under the barbarian sovereign were also watching. If the shaman wins, you'll have to eat dirt if you lose? Heaven Battering King laughed. That's right. If Gu Fei can defeat the West Sea Dragon clan's army, I'll eat dirt. Wu Yin said seriously. What if you lose? Wu Yin continued to say to Heaven Battering King. Hee hee, Gu Fei might be able to win. I bet that Gu Fei will win. If I lose, the divine medicine that I obtained a few days ago will be yours." Heaven Battering King laughed. "All right, it's a deal. You guys can be witnesses," Wu Yin said to Wenxiang King and North Garrison King. "All right." North Garrison King and Wenxiang King nodded. These guys were watching the show from the side. In the nearby cities there were many troops gathered. This was the only way to enter the hinterland of Nanman. The barbarian sovereign had ruled Nanman for 3,000 years. He had built many cities here and stationed many troops here in order to block the West Sea Dragon clan's army. At this time, Gu Fei's army took over 3 cities. These 3 cities were built in dangerous places, easy to defend and difficult to attack. There are actually people in Nanman who are not afraid of death and dare to block my army. They are simply overestimating themselves. In the city where the West Sea Dragon clan's army was stationed, a tall, dark-skinned, middle-aged man stood on top of the city wall. This man's face was covered with hideous demonic marks. "Lord Dragon King, I heard that the guy called Gu Fei is coming this time." A short and fat old man with a tortoise shell on his back beside the dark-skinned man said. This guy was the brains of the West Sea Dragon clan, Prime Minister Turtle. This time, the West Sea Dragon clan's invasion of Nanman was planned by Prime Minister Turtle. The dark-skinned man was the king of the West Sea Dragon clan, the Black Dragon King. "Gu Fei? Who is he? Never heard of him," the Black Dragon King said disapprovingly. "I heard that he is a rising expert in Nanman, the first barbarian king. Man Xiong, who was known as the #1 war god of Nanman, died in his hands," Prime Minister Turtle said. "What?" The Black Dragon King frowned when he heard this. He was no stranger to Man Xiong. This Man Xiong was known as the #1 war god of Nanman in recent years. His cultivation was extremely strong, and he was good at fighting. It was a pity that this guy was dead. "I'd like to see what this Gu Fei is capable of." The Black Dragon King looked ahead coldly and saw a tall city wall standing in the gorge in front of him. If he wanted to enter the hinterland of Nanman, he had to take down this mountain city. Now, in the mountain city, there was no one else except for Gu Fei's army. Everyone else had fled. There were only 50,000 elite troops of Gu Fei stationed here, and the commander was the Red-Browed Eagle King. In the face of the West Sea Dragon clan's army, the Red-Browed Eagle King was extremely nervous. However, Gu Fei had given him a trump card, and he also had the combat power to fight against the West Sea Dragon clan. Gu Fei guarded another pass at the back. At this time, the Sorcerer clan was also paying close attention to Gu Fei's movements. If Gu Fei could successfully block the West Sea Dragon clan's army, then the Sorcerer clan would attack the southern barbarian royal capital. After taking down the southern barbarian royal capital, the Sorcerer clan could end the barbarian emperor's rule in Nanman. The war was about to break out, and a storm was brewing. The West Sea Dragon clan's army began to reorganize their equipment. The huge West Guard city was filled with the West Sea Dragon clan's army. In front of the West Sea Dragon clan, the Black Dragon King personally led his army to a place more than 10 miles away from West Gorge. West Gorge City was where the Red-Browed Eagle King was stationed. And opposite West Gorge City, there was another city more than 10 miles away, Jinshi City. West Garrison City had already been captured by the West Sea Dragon clan. If the West Sea Dragon clan captured West Gorge City, then they would truly open up a passage from the West Sea to the hinterland of Nanman. At that time, the West Sea army would be able to continuously attack Nanman. "A storm is brewing!" Gu Fei guarded Black Rock City behind West Gorge City. He stood on the city wall and looked in the direction of West Gorge City with a calm expression. Chapter 4977. West Gorge City was located outside a large canyon in the western part of the southern wilderness. The entire city guarded the entrance of the canyon. The Red-Browed Eagle King led a 50,000-strong army to defend West Gorge City, directly facing the West Sea Dragon race army led by the Black Dragon King. In terms of military strength, the Red-Browed Eagle King's army couldn't compare to the Black Dragon King at all. In terms of cultivation, The red-browed Eagle King was only at the peak of the God King realm, while the Black Dragon King was a half-step monarch realm expert. So, the red-browed Eagle King was completely crushed by the Black Dragon King. Therefore, no matter how they compared, the red-browed Eagle King and the Black Dragon King's strength were far inferior. The Witch King, Wu Ying, was even more pessimistic about Gu Fei's chances. The difference between the two of them was too great, and the West Sea Dragon clan's army was too powerful. Even the Azure Dragon army couldn't stop them, and they were forced to retreat thousands of miles away from Westguard City. The Black Dragon King chased them everywhere, leaving behind countless corpses. The Azure Dragon army's undefeatable legend had ended with Gu Fei, and then with the West Ocean Dragon clan. Now, the Azure Dragon army only had 30,000 soldiers from the southern barbarian royal capital. Even in the Eastern Guard City in the east, the Azure Dragon army had suffered heavy losses. This was because in every war, the Azure Dragon army was the focus of all forces. Zhuge Liang led his defeated army and retreated to a city not far away from the southern barbarian royal capital. After counting the number of people, Zhuge Liang directly vomited blood. Of the 20,000 Azure Dragon army soldiers that he had brought from the Nanman royal capital, only less than 600 were left. Almost all of them had been wiped out. If the barbarian emperor were to return, the first person he would kill would be Zhuge Liang. One must know that the Azure Dragon army was an invincible divine army that the barbarian emperor had spent a great deal of effort to train. But now, this invincible divine army was defeated one after another. But at this time, all the forces in the entire South Barbarian turned their attention to the west of South Barbarian. The battle between Gu Fei and the Dragon clan of the West Sea attracted the attention of countless people. This was because this battle was very important and directly related to the fate of the entire South China. If Gu Fei was defeated, then the army of the West Sea Dragon clan would be able to march straight in and kill all the way to the South Man royal capital. At that time, the forces of the West Sea Dragon clan would really take root in the southern wilderness. If Gu Fei defeated the invading West Sea Dragon tribe, he would be qualified to share the world of South China with the Witch tribe. However, to Gu Fei, this extremely important battle was just a game. To him, he was just a passerby in the ethereal extent. After Gu Fei's army and the Black Dragon King's West Sea Dragon clan's army confronted each other for several days, early in the morning, the gate of West Town City, which was opposite of West Gorge City, suddenly opened. Countless soldiers rushed out of Western Garrison City and gathered outside the city. Soon, the outskirts of West Town City were filled with West Sea Dragon clan soldiers. These soldiers were all clad in armor and held spears in their hands, just like a human army. However, there was one difference. These soldiers more or less had some characteristics of the sea race. They were actually the sea race that had become spirits. Rumble. It was originally a sunny day, but the sound of thunder actually rang out in the sky. The entire world darkened, and a storm was coming. The army of the West Sea Dragon tribe finally moved out. The figure of the Black Dragon King appeared on the city gate tower. Soon, the West Sea Dragon tribe gathered an army of 50,000 soldiers. Under the leadership of the Deputy General, the purple-scaled Flood Dragon King, these 50,000 soldiers headed straight for West Gorge City. On the city gate tower of West Gorge City, the red-browed Eagle King looked into the distance. He saw smoke and dust billowing in the direction of West Town City, and the ground trembled. "Enemy attack!" The red-browed Eagle King roared angrily, and his roar instantly spread throughout the city. Then countless soldiers rushed out from all parts of the city. Some rushed up the city gate tower, and some rushed to the city gate. All the soldiers were well trained. Strong crossbows were fixed on the city gate. The arrows shot by these large crossbows were not only accurate, but also very powerful. Soon, the army of the West Sea Dragon tribe arrived. The ground trembled, and smoke billowed. Countless West Sea Dragon tribe soldiers rushed toward the city gate. Boom! With a loud sound, the city gate shook. A sea beast directly hit the city gate, almost making a big hole in the city gate. At this moment, it began to rain. The army of the West Sea Dragon tribe was from the sea. In the rain, the army of the West Sea Dragon tribe could only display their strongest combat strength. It has begun! The eyes of the Shaman King, Wu Ying, the Heaven Battering King, the Nature Elephant King, and the North Garrison King lit up. One powerful figure after another appeared in the sky above the other regions. Has it begun? On the city gate tower of Black Rock City, outside the exit of West Gorge Valley, Gu Fei suddenly said. Qiu Qianjian and the others stood behind Gu Fei, and their expressions were extremely solemn. The war had finally begun. Array, rise! On the city gate tower, the red-browed Eagle King roared angrily. A ball of divine light directly rushed out from his body and flew into the sky above West Gorge City. Buzz! The void trembled, and countless array patterns rushed out in all directions, directly imprinting themselves in the void. A killing array immediately enveloped the entire West Gorge City. This was the trump card that Gu Fei gave to the red-browed Eagle King. A single array plate could set up a powerful killing array. No matter how many thousands of soldiers and horses there were, they would not be able to break through the killing array. Fire, rise! Heavenly fire, prairie fire! The red-browed Eagle King controlled the killing array and activated its power. In the next moment, within the killing formation, flames shot up into the sky. Balls of fire fell from the sky and landed directly outside the city gate. Countless soldiers of the Dragon Clan of the West Sea who were trapped in the killing formation were killed or injured by the explosions of the fireballs. What? Seeing this scene, the purple-scaled Flood Dragon King was shocked and angry at the same time. He immediately gave the order to attack. A rain of arrows flew out from the army of the West Sea Dragon tribe and landed directly on West Gorge City. However, all the arrows were repelled by the layer of divine light that enveloped the entire West Gorge City. None of the arrows shot by the West Sea Dragon tribe archers could reach the city. Seeing this, the purple-scaled Flood Dragon King turned pale with fright. How could there be a protective array in West Gorge City? Array plate. The purple-scaled Flood Dragon King was not stupid. He stared at the palm-sized object floating in the air above West Gorge City. Countless array patterns had rushed out from it. Preposterous. Seeing that countless of his subordinates were trapped outside the city gate and being mercilessly killed by the red-browed Eagle King, the purple-scaled Flood Dragon King directly revealed his true form and charged towards the killing array. Suddenly, violent winds howled around West Gorge City. Heavy rain poured down, lightning flashed, and thunder roared. Boom! The purple-scaled Flood Dragon King crashed head first into the defensive divine light of West Gorge City, causing the entire barrier to tremble. Seeing this scene, the red-browed Eagle King couldn't help but be shocked. This Flood Dragon King was truly ferocious to the extreme. However, no matter how ferocious this purple-scaled Flood Dragon King was, it was useless. Chapter 4978. Gu Fei's attainments in the Tao of array formations were very profound. His current array Tao cultivation base was definitely beyond the Grandmaster level. Even He Tian, the ancestor of array Tao, might not be able to beat him. However, in the Void Realm, array Tao was far less impressive than in the human realm. Although the array Tao here was also very strong, in Gu Fei's eyes, it was like the difference between a child and an adult. This was because the array Tao of the human realm and the heavenly realm had already been developed to the extreme. The array plate that Gu Fei refined was not simple. It could form an array out of thin air, and the array patterns that erupted from the array plate could be imprinted in the void, forming an array diagram that gathered the spiritual chi of heaven and earth. As soon as the red-browed Eagle King made his move in West Gorge City, countless people were stunned. Wu Ying, Heaven Battering King, Elephant Monarch, and North Garrison King were all dumbfounded. They did not take the red-browed Eagle King seriously. One had to know that the red-browed Eagle King was only the city lord of a small city. Although he was at the peak of the godly king level, he was nothing compared to Wu Ying and the others. That is, Wu Ying now regretted making the bet with Heaven Battering King. No one knew that Gu Fei had this trick up his sleeve. He is actually proficient in array Tao. The Elephant Monarch and the others were also shocked. This was a profound and unfathomable array Dao. In their opinion, to be able to use an array plate to set up a killing array was something that they had never heard of before, let alone seen. At this moment, the countless West Sea Dragon Clan troops trapped in front of West Gorge City were directly engulfed by the fireballs that fell from the sky, all of them turned into barbecue. Seafood this is. One by one, the Sea Clan revealed their true forms. There were prawns the size of calves, crabs the size of hills, seahorses, sea lions, and all kinds of fish. These Sea Clan troops were directly roasted by the fire caused by the killing array, and the aroma wafted for dozens of miles. Anyone who saw it would be tempted. Ha! Purple-scaled Flood Dragon King, thank you for the rations. My army is lacking in rations. Now we can improve our meals. You! The purple-scaled Flood Dragon King coughed up a mouthful of blood. He only had 50,000 West Sea Dragon Clan soldiers under his command, and at least 30,000 of them were trapped in the enemy's killing formation. This red-browed Eagle King was too ruthless. He had killed more than 30,000 West Sea Dragon race soldiers in one go. The red-browed Eagle King once again activated the power of the killing formation, extinguishing the fire in the formation. After the temperature dropped, he ordered people to open the city gates and move all the roasted prawn soldiers and crab generals into the city. He really treated these seafood as food. The purple-scaled Flood Dragon King crazily attacked the formation, but it was blocked. Overestimating yourself. The red-browed Eagle King sneered. Originally, he did not have much confidence, and was prepared to risk his life. Even he never imagined that the array disc given by Gu Fei would be so powerful. Actually, before the red-browed Eagle King made his move, no one knew that the red-browed Eagle King's attack would be earth-shattering. The battle of the red-browed Eagle King shook the entire South China, and all the forces were dumbfounded. No one took Gu Fei's army seriously. Any random army of the 19 vassal kings of South China was many times more powerful than Gu Fei's army. Gu Fei alone scared off the 19 vassal kings. Without Gu Fei, the red-browed Eagle King and the others would have been killed by the 19 vassal kings. There was only one person that everyone was afraid of, and that was Gu Fei. Without Gu Fei, the red-browed Eagle King and the others wouldn't be able to do anything at all. At this time, Gu Fei had not made a move yet, but the red-browed Eagle King's attack was equivalent to Gu Fei's indirect attack. However, no one expected that Gu Fei was actually proficient in array Dao. As a result, all the forces had to re-evaluate Gu Fei, especially the witch race. This was because the witch race was now allied with Gu Fei. Retreat! The purple-scaled Flood Dragon King could only order a retreat. If they didn't retreat, they would be completely annihilated. At this time, the layer of divine light in the void disappeared. Although it couldn't be seen, it didn't mean that the killing array had disappeared. The purple-scaled Flood Dragon King left behind countless shrimp soldiers and crab generals and retreated to the West City. Useless! Useless! The Black Dragon King directly kicked the defeated purple-scaled Flood Dragon King off the city tower. The purple-scaled Flood Dragon King didn't even dare to fart as he fell off the city tower. The West Sea Dragon race respected the strong. The purple-scaled Flood Dragon King didn't dare to say anything after being defeated. The Black Dragon King was already giving face to his race by not killing him. The purple-scaled Flood Dragon race was the royal race of the West Sea Dragon race. The Amethyst Dragon King that was killed by Gu Fei in the South China royal capital was from the purple-scaled Flood Dragon race. Array formation! It's actually an array formation! The Black Dragon King's face darkened. This is a bit difficult, but we also have an array formation master, Prime Minister Turtle suddenly said. Our West Sea also has an array formation master? The Black Dragon King was surprised and overjoyed. Hee, Dragon King, don't you remember Princess Xiaozhou? Prime Minister Turtle laughed. What? No, if anything goes wrong, both of us will be dead. The Black Dragon King was shocked when he heard this and shook his head repeatedly. Long Xiaozhou was the little princess of the Dragon Emperor. Who would dare to invite her here? The Dragon Emperor of the West Sea was the ruler of the West Sea. Whether it was the purple-scaled flood dragon race, the black flood dragon race, or the red flood dragon race, they all submitted to the Dragon Emperor. The Dragon Emperor was a peerless expert of the purple-gold flood dragon race. Who would dare to have designs on Long Xiaozhou? No one dared to even think about it. However, Long Xiaozhou, the princess of the dragon race, was very knowledgeable. In the past decade, she had been obsessed with the array formation Dao and devoted herself to it. Princess Xiaozhou's array formation Dao cultivation was not low. Dragon King, if you tell Princess Xiaozhou a little about what happened here, she will come even if you don't invite her. Prime Minister Turtle laughed slyly. The Black Dragon King's eyes lit up. West Sea. The Dragon Palace was in chaos. Countless palace maids covered their heads and fled like rats. A peal of bell-like laughter resounded in the Dragon Palace. Her Highness is playing tricks on us again. Quick, run! All the palace maids avoided Princess Xiaozhou as if she was the plague. However, at this moment, Prime Minister Turtle was sneaking toward the Dragon Palace's treasury, afraid that the princess would notice him. Old Turtle! A purple-clothed girl suddenly jumped behind Prime Minister Turtle and patted his turtle shell. Prime Minister Turtle was so scared that he almost abandoned his turtle shell and ran for his life. Princess! Her Highness, you scared me to death, Prime Minister Turtle said with lingering fear. TSK, they say that a 1,000-year-old tortoise and a 10,000-year-old turtle. Why would you be scared to death? The girl in purple laughed. Prime Minister Turtle looked as if he had nothing left to live for. Tell me, why did you sneak back? Long Xiaozhou said to Prime Minister Turtle with a smile. Nothing much, I just missed the princess, Prime Minister Turtle said with a bitter face. Who are you kidding? Chapter 4979. Prime Minister Turtle was a bad old man. How could Long Xiaozhou be a match for Prime Minister Turtle? The old man played some tricks, and on the second day, Long Xiaozhou secretly left the West Ocean Dragon Palace. Since the Turtle Minister's plan had succeeded, he naturally rushed back to Western Garrison City. The Turtle Minister returned to West Town before Long Xiaozhou. At this time, the West Sea Dragon Race army had already been blocked by the Red-Browed Eagle King for more than 10 days. The Red-Browed Eagle King had stopped the West Sea Dragon clan's invasion. Of course, this was only temporary. No one knew how long the Red-Browed Eagle King could hold off the West Sea Dragon clan's army. However, even if the Red-Browed Eagle King used the array formation, not many people thought he would win. After all, he was facing the army of the West Sea Dragon clan. The West Sea Dragon clan was the most powerful clan in the West Sea. Even if the Shaman King won, he didn't think that the Red-Browed Eagle King would win. He even made a bet with the Heavenly King that he would eat dirt. However, no one could guess whether Wu Ying would turn into dust after eating it. Rumble! A thunderous sound rang out. The West Sea Dragon Race army was attacking the Red-Browed Eagle King's formation again. It was the West Sea Dragon clan's Fire Dragon army. Of course, they weren't real fire dragons, but fire dragon beasts. These fire dragon beasts were huge and covered in thick red scales. Thousands of fire dragon army soldiers crazily crashed into the array outside West Gorge City. Every time they crashed, the light screen formed by the power of the array shook. The power of the formation was constantly being consumed. However, Gu Fei's formation could absorb power from heaven and earth. The speed at which the Fire Dragon army attacked the formation was much slower than the speed at which the formation gathered the power of heaven and earth. The power of the formation continued to increase, and in this way, the difficulty of breaking the formation would increase exponentially. The Red-Browed Eagle King stood on top of the city gate tower, staring at the Fire Dragon beasts that were constantly attacking the Great Formation. His expression was incomparably grim. One must know that if these fellows were to break through the Great Formation, then he and his army of 50,000 would be done for. Fortunately, the array disc given to him by his master was so powerful that it could form an array out of thin air and gather spiritual energy from all directions. He had never seen such an array before. Attack! Attack! I want to see what you guys are capable of. The red-browed Eagle King muttered to himself. With its master supporting it from behind, the red-browed Eagle King was very confident. After attacking West Gorge City for an hour, the Fire Dragon army retreated. This was all a probing attack. They wanted to find the flaws in West Gorge City's formation. However, the Black Dragon King was disappointed. The Western Gorge City's array formation was practically flawless. However, the arrival of one person gave the Black Dragon King hope. This person was Long Xiaozhou. Princess Xiaozhou was a powerhouse of the West Sea Dragon clan who specialized in array formations. In the entire West Sea Dragon clan, few could compare to her in the Tao of array formations. Uncle Dahe, are you not happy to see me? When Long Xiaozhou arrived, the Black Dragon King's face turned even darker. Princess Xiao calling him Uncle Big Black almost drove the Black Dragon King crazy. I say, Your Highness, why didn't you tell me in advance that you were coming? The Black Dragon King said with a smile. He still had to put on a show. Otherwise, if people knew that he and that old man, Prime Minister Turtle, had conspired to trick Princess Xiaozhou, the consequences would be very serious. How could I not come when there's something so fun here? Long Xiao said with a smile. Uncle Big Black, quickly ask someone to take me to break the array formation. Long Xiao continued. She had always been harming those shrimp soldiers and crab generals in the West Sea. Now that she had a rare opportunity to see the array formation of the human race, how could she miss it? There's no hurry, the Black Dragon King said hesitantly. You're not in a hurry, but I'm in a hurry. Long Xiao was really anxious. Prime Minister Turtle, where is Prime Minister Turtle? The Black Dragon King shouted. Prime Minister Turtle had long fled. How would he dare to stay here? That rotten old man is really bad. The Black Dragon King was really going crazy. Is Prime Minister Turtle here too? Long Xiao looked around. The Black Dragon King was speechless. He had already cursed Prime Minister Turtle's 18 generations of ancestors in his heart. Aou, you bastard, where are you? Hurry up and come out. The Black Dragon King roared angrily, and the entire West Town City Lord Mansion almost collapsed. Lord Black King! A purple-clothed youth stumbled in from the outside. This guy was the purple-scaled Xiao Dragon King who had been defeated by the red-browed Eagle King in West Gorge City and fled back to West Town City in a sorry state. This guy was called Aou. Why haven't you greeted Princess Xiaozhou? The Black Dragon King said coldly. Princess Xiaozhou is here too? Aou was shocked when he heard this and hurriedly greeted Long Xiao. Bring Her Highness to the front of the array to take a look. Don't get too close, understand? If anything happens to Her Highness, I'll hold you responsible. The Black Dragon King said in a deep voice. When Aou heard this, he immediately cried. This was Her Royal Highness Princess Xiaozhou. This mission was too difficult. If anything were to happen to Her Royal Highness Princess, he would really be dead. Even the clan behind him wouldn't be able to protect him. I asked you to go, so go. Why are you so long-winded? The Black Dragon King glared at Aou and said. Yes, Lord Dragon King. Aou could only bite the bullet and go. Why, you're not willing to bring me to see that array? Long Xiao said indifferently. No, why wouldn't I be willing? It's my honor to be able to serve Her Highness. How would Aou dare to say no? There was no other way, Aou could only go and prepare. Who is that? An hour later, on the city wall of West Gorge City, Xiaoya and the red-browed Eagle Kings suddenly saw a group of people rushing over. This was the Fire Dragon Horse, a type of fire dragon beast. The reason why the West Sea Dragon clan could kill their way into South Man so quickly and attack the city was largely because of a cavalry, which was the Fire Dragon Cavalry. They don't look like they're here to attack the city. The red-browed Eagle King frowned and said. That group of people escorted a woman in purple to the front of the array. It was a delicate and pretty girl. Her whole body exuded a sense of spirituality. Even the red-browed Eagle King's eyes lit up when he saw her. What a beautiful little girl! Xiaoya's tone was like an adult's. The red-browed Eagle King glanced at the little goddess beside him, and looked a little surprised. This little goddess was the disciple of his master, Gu Fei. Her cultivation was already at the demigod realm. This kind of cultivation speed was really too abnormal. It was said that this little goddess was less than 8 years old. A demigod who was less than 8 years old probably couldn't be found in the entire South. Man. What a cute little girl! At this time, Long Xiaozhou outside the array also noticed Xiaoya and the red-browed Eagle King on the city wall. The red-browed Eagle King was naturally ignored by Princess Xiaozhou. An old man naturally couldn't attract Long Xiaozhou's attention. "Haha, you call me a little girl? When I was cultivating, your grandfather's grandfather was playing in the mud somewhere." Xiaoya's tender voice sounded on the city wall. What a big tone! Chapter 4980. The West Sea Dragon Clan's army was blocked outside West Gorge City by the 50,000-strong army led by the red-browed Eagle King. This made the Black Dragon King, the commander of the West Sea Dragon Clan's army, very depressed. The other side only had 50,000 soldiers while they had hundreds of thousands. Of course, if it wasn't for the red-browed Eagle King's killing formation, West Gorge City would have been flattened by the West Sea Dragon Clan's army. At this time, the Black Dragon King and Prime Minister Turtle tried their best to lure the little princess of the West Sea Dragon Clan, Long Xiaozhou, to the south to see if she could break the formation. Gu Fei's disciple, Xiaoya, also came to West Gorge City and happened to see Long Xiaozhou watching the battle. "Little girl, if you were to be my maid, I would think that you are too young," Long Xiaozhou said disdainfully to Xiaoya on the city wall. "Do the descendants of the West Sea Dragon Clan not know the rules? How dare you be so presumptuous in front of the old senior?" Although Xiaoya's voice was young, her tone was old. For a little girl to say such words, it gave people a very strange feeling. "Who are you?" Long Xiaozhou stared at the little girl on the opposite city wall with a serious expression. Could this little girl be an old antique who had cultivated for countless years? In the world of cultivation, one could not judge a person's cultivation by their appearance. This little girl wore white armor and carried a long sword on her back. Although she was small, she had a heroic spirit. This was not the temperament of an ordinary little girl. "You guess?" "Ha!" Xiaoya laughed. "You little brat, wait for me to break the formation here and catch you. I will give you a good spanking." After saying that, Long Xiaozhou ignored Xiaoya and focused on watching the formation. In the sky above West Gorge City, a formation plate was floating. At this time, the formation runes around the plate were hidden in the void. "This is..." Long Xiaozhou activated his divine eye and saw a completely different scene in front of him. In the void, countless formation runes appeared, crisscrossing each other and enveloping the entire West Gorge City. "Haha, you want to break my master's formation? Dream on!" Xiaoya's face was full of disdain. No one had ever broken her master's formation before. Could this little girl break it? Was this a joke? "Is this the killing formation set up by your master?" Long Xiaozhou couldn't help being startled when he heard that. This little guy was a demigod. To be able to teach such a heaven-defying disciple, one could imagine how powerful his master was. "I'd like to see how you're going to break the formation." A cold and arrogant smile appeared on Xiaoya's face. As her cultivation got higher and higher, she would awaken more and more memories. She was once the god of the Black Mountain tribe. She had actually gone through a different kind of reincarnation and successfully transformed from a non-human into a human. This wasn't something that just any living being dared to do, because the slightest bit of carelessness would cause one's soul to disperse. Xiaoya's luck in this life was extremely good. She had even become Gu Fei's disciple and received Gu Fei's inheritance. Her cultivation had already broken through to the demigod realm. It was only a matter of time before she broke through to the divine realm. It could be said that her future was boundless. Even the red-browed Eagle King, Qiu Qianjian, and the others were envious and jealous of her. They had cultivated for thousands of years to reach their current level. Even among divine kings, they weren't the strongest either. Even among peak realm divine kings, there were strong and weak too. Each cultivation realm had people whose cultivation was at the bottom, and there were also existences who were nearly invincible in the same realm. At this time, Long Xiaozhou was observing the formation with full attention, while Aou and the rest were guarding around Long Xiaozhou as if they were facing a great enemy. They had to protect this Princess Xiao well. Long Xiaozhou was the little princess that the West Sea Dragon Emperor doted on the most. If anything were to happen to her, he, Aou, would be dead for sure. The guards that Aou brought were all experts in the dragon race. He did not dare to have the slightest bit of carelessness. This was a matter that concerned his entire family's life. "Your Highness Goddess, want to go out and play with them?" The red-browed Eagle King, who was standing beside Xiaoya, suddenly said. "Watch first before deciding." Xiaoya was very careful. That big sister outside was not simple. Her cultivation was far above her. If she were to be captured by that big sister, that would be throwing her face all the way to her grandma's house. Long Xiaozhou took out an array disc. Her array disc was a divine tool. Under Long Xiaozhou's control, some of the runes on the array disc in her hand lit up. East, west, north, south, and center. The array disc stabilized the 5 directions, broke the 5 elements, and distinguished the 5 energies. Even Xiaoya, who was on top of the city wall, could not help but secretly nod at Long Xiaozhou's move. This was the most basic method of probing the formation. Basically, one could see the truth and falsehood of the grand formation. However, Gu Fei's killing formation was not the same as ordinary killing formations. This was because Gu Fei would not abide by the rules at all. His killing formation added something that he had comprehended. At this time, runes flew out from the array disc in Long Xiaozhou's hand. These runes directly fell on the grand formation of West Gorge City. She wanted to use runes to break the formation. She wanted to use the runes of the array disc in her hand to disturb the normal runes of West Gorge City's grand formation. In fact, the foundation of every grand formation was the runes. Because the runes formed an array diagram, it could gather the spiritual chi of heaven and earth and display all kinds of power. Destroying the runes of a grand formation could disintegrate the grand formation. However, what shocked Long Xiaozhou was that the runes that flew out from the array disc in her hand were actually blocked by a layer of divine light. Her runes could not enter the grand formation of West Gorge City at all. In this way, she could not break the grand formation. Seeing the runes dissipating in the void, a layer of sweat appeared on Long Xiaozhou's forehead. If she could not break the grand formation like this, she would have to use other methods. Long Xiaozhou's array Dao cultivation was not weak, and she had many ways to break the grand formation. "Let's go back!" Long Xiaozhou kept the array disc, turned around, and rode away on Flaming Dragon Horse. "I won't send you off!" On top of the city wall, Xiaoya said loudly. "Just you wait. When the grand formation is broken, I will slaughter the entire city." Aou shouted at Xiaoya and the red-browed Eagle King on top of the city wall. "I'm afraid you won't dare to come," Xiaoya sneered. Aou angrily brought people to protect Long Xiaozhou as she returned to West Gorge City. At this time, there were many powerful figures in the nearby region. They were all secretly watching. Wu Ying, Heaven Battering King, and the others were still there. One had to know that this battle concerned the fate of the entire South Barbarian. On the other hand, Gu Fei was very bored in Black Rock City. However, he was not in a hurry. He was very confident in his array Dao cultivation. In this void realm, who could be stronger than him in array Dao cultivation? When he was bored, he would guide Xiaoya in her cultivation. He would also guide Qiu Qianjian, Lunar Divine Fist Han Chong, Saber King Luo Lai, and the others in their cultivation. Qiu Qianjian and the others naturally benefited a lot. Compared to Gu Fei's leisure, Man Yu of South Barbarian Capital was incomparably anxious. The sorcerer race army had surrounded the city. No one knew when the sorcerer race army would break through South Barbarian Capital's grand formation and charge in. Man Yu had already received the news that Gu Fei was actually an array Dao expert. Chapter 4981. When the news that Gu Fei was an array Dao expert spread, it shocked many people. One must know that array Dao experts were very rare in the Void Realm. According to rumor, the Man Emperor had paid a great price all those years ago to invite an expert in the Tao of formations to help him set up an extraordinary grand formation that enveloped the entire Man Emperor city for over 10 years. That was barbarian sovereign's ancestral land, so he naturally attached great importance to it. But now, barbarian sovereign's ancestral land had been occupied by Gu Fei. When barbarian sovereign heard the news, he was probably going to vomit blood. What should we do? Quickly invite Ling Tian Palace's old ancestor. Man Yu of Southern Barbarian Sovereign City was really panicking because the Southern Barbarian Sovereign City hadn't been breached by the Witch Race army until now. Gu Fei was an array Dao expert. If he broke the Southern Barbarian Sovereign City's grand array and let the Witch Race army kill their way in, then Man Yu and all those who supported Barbarian Sovereign would be dead. The change of a dynasty was an earth-shattering event. Every time a dynasty changed, it was accompanied by a rain of blood and foul winds. When Shaman Sovereign was defeated and went into seclusion, Barbarian Sovereign cleansed the entire Southern Barbarian and killed countless races that supported the Witch Race. After a bloody cleansing, the races of Southern Barbarian became well-behaved. Otherwise, who would serve Barbarian Sovereign? At this time, the 19 feudal lords of Southern Barbarian were also observing. Most of them supported Barbarian Sovereign, but Barbarian Sovereign wasn't here now. Even if they supported Barbarian Sovereign, they had to be very cautious. That fierce Tiger King was a good example. He actually dared to bring his army to stop Gu Fei, and in the end, he was directly crippled by Gu Fei. Now, he is still lying like a dumpling in Fierce Tiger City. Those feudal lords didn't want to become the second Fierce Tiger King. The Lingtian Palace was a transcendent force in the Void Realm. Lingtian, and Lingtian were above the heavens. There weren't many people in the Lingtian Palace, but every one of them was powerful enough to make countless people tremble. The person who helped Barbarian Sovereign set up the super array in Barbarian Sovereign City was an array Dao Grandmaster of Lingtian Palace. Lingtian Palace's old ancestor was definitely the most powerful existence in the Void Realm. Even Barbarian Sovereign had to call him Old Ancestor. Old Ancestor Lingtian? When the one-eyed old man heard this, he was shocked. The situation had already reached the point where he had to ask the people from Lingtian Palace to step in. At this time, the entire South China was unexpectedly calm. The demon army in the east was stopped by Bai Ge and could not advance an inch. The dragon army in the west was also temporarily stopped by Gu Fei. The army of the sorcerer tribe surrounded the southern barbarian capital, but they were unable to break through the city defense formation of the southern barbarian capital in a short period of time. Although the army of the sorcerer tribe surrounded the capital, the army of the sorcerer tribe was also surrounded by the army of the kings who were loyal to the southern barbarian emperor. However, now that the shaman emperor had appeared, those vassal kings were still observing. That was the shaman emperor. The battle 3,000 years ago decided the fate of the southern barbarians. However, although the shaman emperor was defeated, he did not fall. He only went into seclusion. At this time, in the western region of Nanman, in the West Town, the Dragon Emperor's most beloved princess Xiao returned to the city lord's mansion and immediately started fiddling with her artifacts. The formation-breaking arrows, the Tian formation destroying divine thunder, and the gourd of geocentric netherworld spring were all powerful artifacts that could break arrays and could corrode all spiritual objects. Even the flying sword of the sword god would become scrap metal if it was splashed by the geocentric netherworld spring water. Long Xiao really put in a lot of effort this time. 81 formation-breaking arrows were refined by her again, and there were runes faintly appearing on the arrowhead of each formation-breaking arrow. There was also the Tian formation destroying divine thunder, which was a treasure given to her by Long Xiaozhou's master. There were 9 of them, and one of them could break a large array. Long Xiaozhou's master was the formation grandmaster of the Lingtian Palace. The things given by the formation grandmaster were naturally extraordinary. However, The most impressive was the geocentric netherworld spring water. It was something that Long Xiaozhou took a great risk to go deep into the earth vein in the deepest part of the West Sea. It was something that could corrode everything. With these three things, it was enough for Long Xiaozhou to be unrivaled in the Formation Dao. Now that she finally met an Formation Dao expert, she naturally wanted to compete with him to see whose Formation Dao was stronger. Long Xiaozhou locked herself in the training room and fiddled with it for a long time before she opened the door of the training room in satisfaction and walked out. "Your Highness, you are finally out. We have already prepared dinner for you." The purple-scaled Flood Dragon King, AOU, who had been guarding outside the training room, was instantly overjoyed when he saw Long Xiaozhou come out. "It's already night?" Long Xiaozhou was shocked when she heard that. Unknowingly, she had stayed in the training room for such a long time. "All right, eat and drink to your heart's content. We will break the array tomorrow." Long Xiaozhou raised her head and puffed out her chest as she walked towards the backyard of the city lord residence. She was incomparably confident because she was full of confidence. Break the array? You looked at Long Xiaozhou's back view and instantly broke out in a cold sweat. This morning, he had experienced the Formation Dao of this Princess Xiao. With just an array disc, she casually waved her hand, and she was back. If she could break the array like that, I would have flattened that West Gorge city long ago. Although the Black Dragon King and Prime Minister Turtle used all means to lure Princess Xiaozhou to South Barbarian's West Town City, they did not dare to openly ask Princess Xiaozhou to break the array. However, when they saw Princess Xiaozhou actively breaking the array, they were secretly happy. The Black Dragon King specially set up a banquet to entertain Long Xiaozhou, but Long Xiaozhou's mind was not on eating. She already had a card up her sleeve. The West Sea invited an Formation Dao expert? In Black Rock City, Gu Fei was listening to Xiaoya talk about this morning's events. The master and disciple were eating dinner. This meal was not simple. It was a variety of seafood that Xiaoya brought back from West Gorge City. These things were not commonly seen in the inland region. Moreover, these seafood were not ordinary seafood. These were all fellows that had become spirits. They contained a huge amount of spiritual power. If an ordinary person ate them, they could strengthen their body. If a cultivator ate them, they could improve their cultivation. The seafood was not bad. However, what really aroused Gu Fei's interest was the Formation Dao expert that Xiaoya mentioned. This was because in the Void Realm, Formation Dao experts were not common. At least, Gu Fei had not met an Formation Dao expert since he came to the Void Realm for so long. The higher Xiaoya's cultivation, the more she felt that this master of hers was unfathomable. In front of her master, she felt that she was as weak as an ant. She never dared to be presumptuous in front of Gu Fei. Even if she was not in her strongest state before reincarnation, in front of Gu Fei, she was at most a slightly stronger ant. "Master, are you going to meet that little sister?" Xia asked. "Yes, it is very boring here. Let's go and take a look." Chapter 4982. Early in the morning, the west gate of Nan Nan Town was opened. The West Sea Dragon clan's army moved out again. The Fire Dragon Beast's vanguard rushed out of the city gate. The entire ground was shaking, and the creatures outside the city were all hiding. This time, the Black Dragon King personally accompanied Long Xiaozhou to break the array. The West Sea Dragon clan's army marched out of the city and headed straight for West Gorge City. They're really here! West Gorge City, on top of the city wall, Xiaoya saw the billowing smoke and dust in front of her. The West Sea Dragon clan's army soon arrived at West Gorge City aggressively. The West Sea Dragon clan's army set up a formation outside West Gorge City. It was a spectacular sight. "I say, big sister, you really dared to come!" Xiaoya shouted from the top of the city wall to Long Xiaozhou, who was surrounded by a group of West Sea Dragon race experts. "Ha, you little guy, just you wait. Today, this princess will break this city protection array, capture you, and beat your ass until it blossoms." Long Xiaozhou laughed with incomparable confidence. "Okay, please start your performance." Xiaoya smiled and said to Long Xiaoyou. Outrageous! How dare you look down on this princess? Later this princess will make you cry. As Long Xiaoyou spoke, she immediately took out her magic weapon. She flipped her right hand and took out her divine artifact array board. Without any hesitation, Long Xiaoyou activated the array board in her hand. In the next moment, countless cold lights flew out from the array board and surrounded her. Interesting. On top of the city wall, Gu Fei, who was standing behind Xiaoya, smiled. Master, does this big sister really have the ability to break the array? Xiaoya was really curious. Red-browed Eagle King was also very curious. Let's see. Gu Fei smiled. This West Sea Dragon clan's little girl's array Dao cultivation was not bad, but in his eyes she was still far from the realm of array Dao Grandmaster. At this time, 81 array breaking arrows were all floating around Long Xiaozhou. They were densely packed, and each arrow exploded with a powerful force. Moreover, these weren't ordinary arrows, they were specially refined to break arrays. There were runes on the arrowheads. Master, what is she doing? Xiaoya asked. That's the formation-breaking arrow, Gu Fei said. Those who could refine the formation-breaking arrows would not be weak in the array Dao. However, the formation-breaking arrows were also divided into 3, 6, and 9 grades. Looking at the energy fluctuations coming from these formation-breaking arrows, he could tell that these formation-breaking arrows were of average quality. However, if she wanted to use these formation-breaking arrows to break his array, then this little girl was really thinking too much. I hope today's show won't disappoint me. Gu Fei smiled. Princess Xiaozhou is mighty! Purple-scaled Flood Dragon King Aou loudly cheered for Long Xiaozhou. Your Highness, I'll leave this place to you. The Black Dragon King also retreated. They were very confident in Long Xiaozhou's array Dao cultivation. Don't worry, we will soon be able to drink at the top of West Gorge City's city wall. Long Xiaozhou continued to activate the array disc in his hand. The 81 array-breaking arrows suddenly shone brightly, especially the arrowheads, which emitted a bright light. Master, do you want to? When Xiaoya saw Princess Xiaozhou's momentum, she couldn't help but feel nervous. No need, we will just watch the show from here. Gu Fei knew what Xiaoya was worried about. How could the array he laid down be so easily broken? Go! Princess Xiaozhou made her move. She waved her right hand and 12 cold lights immediately shot up into the sky, directly falling towards West Gorge City. She was very careful and was testing the waters. Everyone, except for Gu Fei, stared nervously at the 12 cold lights falling towards West Gorge City. Boom! The first formation-breaking arrow exploded in the sky above West Gorge City. A layer of divine light appeared above West Gorge City, blocking the destructive power of the formation-breaking arrow. Immediately after, a series of explosions sounded. The other 11 formation-breaking arrows also landed on the layer of divine light formed by West Gorge City's protective array. The destructive power released by the formation-breaking arrows only caused the layer of divine light that enveloped the entire city to tremble slightly. Seeing this scene, Long Xiaozhou couldn't help but be shocked. What he shot out was an array-breaking arrow. For ordinary arrays, a single array-breaking arrow would be able to destroy a small array. But now, the 12 formation-breaking arrows couldn't even shake the city's protective array. How was this possible? Could it be that she had seriously underestimated this array? Seeing this result, Long Xiaozhou's face didn't look good. At this time, the Black Dragon King and the others' faces were incomparably dignified. It seemed that breaking the array wasn't an easy thing to do. They seemed to have underestimated everything. Damn it! Long Xiaozhou roared and attacked with all her strength. She sat cross-legged in the void with the array plate floating in front of her. Countless runes emerged on the array plate. The remaining formation-breaking arrows all flew up into the sky. Each of the formation-breaking arrows rushed out with runes one after another. These runes intertwined in the void and unexpectedly formed an array. A huge formation appeared high up in the sky. I didn't expect this little girl to be so clever. On top of West Gorge City's city wall, Gu Fei's eyes lit up when he saw this scene. This little girl from the Dragon Clan actually had such a trick. She didn't form an array out of thin air. Long Xiaozhou's array Dao hadn't been cultivated to the point where she could form an array out of thin air. She used the runes on the formation breaking arrows to form an array. Using an external object to form an array wasn't something amazing. In Gu Fei's eyes, using an external object to form an array was also inferior. But in the eyes of the Black Dragon King and the others, Long Xiaozhou's move really shocked them. It turned out that an array could be used in this way. It was really unfathomable. At this time, the spiritual energy of heaven and earth crazily gathered towards the large array in the sky. An incomparably powerful force quickly condensed. Rumble! A huge vortex appeared in the sky above West Gorge City. In the next moment, terrifying destructive lightning from the vortex blasted down on West Gorge City below. Sky Thunder Array? Gu Fei raised his head and looked at the huge vortex in the sky that looked like it was going to swallow the entire West Gorge City. At this time, the power of the lightning falling from the sky grew even stronger. The destructive aura caused countless living beings to feel extreme fear. This was the might of heaven and earth. Even the Black Dragon King, a half-step Emperor realm expert, was extremely nervous when he saw the lightning falling from the sky. The purple-scaled Flood Dragon King, Aou, and the others trembled under the might of heaven and earth. The red-browed Eagle King's army inside West Gorge City looked up at the lightning in the sky in terror. Chapter 4983. Long Xiaozhou's first move was the Sky Thunder Array. She wanted to use an array to break an array. She wanted to use the power of the Sky Thunder to break the West Gorge City's great array that Gu Fei had set up. Rumble! In the sky above West Gorge City, within the huge vortex, countless lightning bolts descended from the sky, directly blasting the light barrier of West Gorge City. A heart-palpitating aura of destruction spread between heaven and earth. Even the West Sea Dragon Clan army outside the city was shivering under the Sky Thunder. The red-browed Eagle King's army in West Gorge City was in an even worse state. Some people were so frightened by the scene in the sky that they wet their pants. How is this possible? At this time, Long Xiaozhou was shocked to the extreme. Even the Sky Thunder Array that she had set up couldn't break the other party's Great Array? Long Xiaozhou used all her strength to activate the Great Array. The terrifying power of thunder and lightning erupted. Every lightning bolt that struck from the vortex seemed to be tearing the void apart. However, so what? Gu Fei didn't need to do anything at all. The other party's Sky Thunder Array couldn't break his array at all. One had to know that their array Dao cultivation levels weren't even on the same level. Preposterous! Long Xiaozhou was furious. She directly bit the tip of her tongue and spat a mouthful of blood essence onto the array disc. Buzz! The array disc floating in front of Long Xiaozhou directly absorbed her blood essence and let out a deafening sound. In the next moment, the entire array disc actually scattered, turning into countless divine lights that soared into the sky and merged into the Sky Thunder Array in the sky. Rumble! The vortex above West Gorge City instantly expanded by 10 times, covering the entire sky. Endless tribulation clouds gathered, and the power of thunder and lightning also increased by several times. All living beings looked up at the huge vortex in the sky. This was simply a heavenly tribulation, a man-made heavenly tribulation. Even a god king could feel his soul trembling. Master, this! On top of West Gorge City's city wall, Xiaoya, who had been very calm, also revealed a trace of fear. The scene in front of her was too terrifying. In the huge vortex formed by the tribulation clouds, endless power of thunder and lightning gathered. Dazzling lightning bolts that seemed to be able to tear the heaven and earth appeared in the thunderclouds. A little imposing, but unfortunately. Gu Fei stood with his hands behind his back and shook his head indifferently. What? Xiaoya and the red-browed Eagle King couldn't help but be shocked. Gu Fei didn't even care about this kind of destructive heavenly lightning formation? Break! Long Xiaozhou activated the Sky Thunder Array with all its might. The huge whirlpool of thunderclouds in the sky began to descend, and the entire world began to shake. All the heaven and earth spiritual chi within a radius of several thousand miles was gathered in the heavenly lightning array. Master, what should we do? Who wouldn't be moved when they saw the thunderclouds that enveloped the entire world pressing down? Who wouldn't be scared half to death? Even the army of the West Sea Dragon clan had retreated a long time ago. The red-eyebrowed Eagle King's army in the city were all trembling in fear. Even the red-browed Eagle King felt his soul tremble. This was a fear that originated from the depths of his soul. No one can break my formation. Gu Fei was still standing with his hands behind his back. His expression didn't change, but his tone was incomparably confident. Hearing this, Xiaoya and the red-browed Eagle King didn't dare to say anything else. However, West Gorge City was in chaos. Countless people were hiding in fear. The thunderclouds in the sky were about to reach West Gorge City's grand formation, but Gu Fei still didn't show any signs of wanting to make a move. Although Xiaoya and the red-browed Eagle King were anxious, they didn't dare to say anything. Rumble! The sky above West Gorge City suddenly shook. The sky thunder array heavily pressed down on West Gorge City's grand formation, and a layer of divine light appeared in the sky above West Gorge City. Although it was only a faint layer of divine light, it was unbreakable. No matter how powerful the lightning continued to strike, that layer of divine light only rippled. Xiaoya and the others were already stunned by this scene. Master's formation was indeed powerful. Such a destructive sky thunder array couldn't even shake Master's formation? At this time, the most shocked person was Long Xiao. A small grand formation was actually so powerful that even the sky thunder array couldn't break it. Long Xiao's sky thunder array was one of her trump cards. The array-breaking arrows used to set up the array were very difficult to refine. She had spent a lot of effort to refine this set of array-breaking arrows with the help of her master. Just now, in order to test West Gorge City's grand formation, she had lost 12 array-breaking arrows. Her heart was bleeding. "Little girl, is this all you have?" Gu Fei said to Long Xiaozhou, who was standing opposite him. At this time, Long Xiaozhou's entire body was surrounded by array patterns. She had already cultivated to the realm of condensing array patterns in the void. This was a technique that only half-step array masters could do. Forming array patterns in the void was a skill that only array masters could do. Even Gu Fei looked at Long Xiao in a different light. This was because in the void realm, the array Dao was only a minor path. Not many people were willing to cultivate the array Dao. It was already very rare for her to be able to cultivate to the half-step array master realm. Moreover, Long Xiao wasn't very old. At least in Gu Fei's eyes, she was just a little girl. "You ignorant child, how dare you call your old ancestor a little girl?" Long Xiaozhou, who was sitting cross-legged in the void, stared at the young man in black who was standing behind Xiaoya and the red-eyebrowed Eagle King. "Presumptuous! How dare you!" Xiaoya and the red-eyebrowed Eagle King were shocked when they heard this. This Long Xiaozhou dared to call Gu Fei an ignorant child. This was simply courting death. Gu Fei didn't care. He waved his hand and said, "Who taught you the array Dao? You don't have the right to ask for my master's name." Long Xiao gritted her teeth. The power of the sky thunder array had already reached the limit of what she could endure. If she continued to increase the power of the sky thunder array regardless of the consequences, she could explode and die at any time. "What did you say? Do you know who you're talking to?" Xiaoya shouted at Long Xiao. This guy actually dared to be presumptuous in front of her master. This made her very unhappy. "TSK, he's just a human brat," Long Xiao said disdainfully. In Long Shizhou's eyes, Gu Fei was really too young. He was not eye-catching at all. "You!" Xiaoya and the red-eyebrowed Eagle King were stunned. They weren't even this shocked when they faced the sky thunder array. They both looked at Gu Fei. However, Gu Fei still didn't care. "Little girl, didn't your master tell you not to judge a book by its cover?" Gu Fei smiled. "Is that so? I don't see anything special about you. Are you a human antique?" Long Xiaozhou didn't care at all. "I don't have any abilities. How about this? How about we make a bet? Chapter 4984. In the Void Realm, one of the 5 major regions, Southern Man, was in turmoil. All the major forces were fighting for control of Southern Man, wanting to become the master of this region. The current Southern Wilderness was a big piece of fat meat, and everyone wanted a bite. The Demon Clan of East Wilderness and the Dragon Clan of West Sea had already taken action. They each sent their armies to invade Southern Man while it was in chaos. At this time, the Demon Clan's army was blocked by the war god of South Man, by Ge, at Eastern Guard City. However, the western region of Southern Man was defeated. Liang couldn't stop the army of the Dragon Clan and was defeated, losing Western Guard City. Western Guard City was an extremely important city. Since it was breached by the army of the Dragon Clan, it was equivalent to opening the western gate of Southern Man. Fortunately, Gu Fei led his army to occupy Western Gorge City in time and block the army of the Dragon Clan. Now, the western region of Southern Man attracted the attention of countless experts in the Void Realm. Everyone was watching to see if Gu Fei could really stop the army of the Dragon Clan. In fact, many people didn't think highly of Gu Fei. Even Wu Ying, one of the 8 Witch Kings of the Sorcerer tribe, made a bet with Heaven Battering King that Gu Fei couldn't stop the army of the Dragon Clan. If he lost, he would have to eat dirt. However, these few days, Wu Ying's mood was a little heavy. This was because Gu Fei had really blocked the army of the West Sea Dragon tribe. The small West Gorge City had made it difficult for the army of the West Sea Dragon tribe to advance an inch. This made many people who didn't think highly of Gu Fei incredulous. However, this was the truth. Early this morning, the Dragon Clan began to attack Western Gorge City again. This time, the Dragon Clan invited an array Dao expert to break the array formation. Well-informed people already knew that the little princess of the Dragon Clan had arrived at Western Garrison City. Princess Xiaozhou of the West Sea Dragon Clan was one of the few array Dao experts in the West Sea Dragon Clan. With her help, Gu Fei would definitely die this time. However, to everyone's surprise, Western Gorge City's city defense array actually withstood the attack of the Sky Thunder array. This was beyond everyone's expectations. Even Xiao Ye, the red-browed Eagle King, and the others were shocked by the power of the Sky Lightning formation. Because if Gu Fei's array couldn't block Long Shizhou's Sky Lightning array, then they would be dead for sure. Rumble! At this time, the entire Sky Lightning array had already fallen on the layer of divine light that was the great city defense formation above West Gorge City. Endless lightning bombarded the layer of divine light, but it didn't budge at all. It only caused ripples visible to the naked eye. Long Xiaozhou used all her might to activate the Sky Lightning array, but no matter how hard she tried, she couldn't shake Gu Fei's array, let alone break it. "Little girl, how about I bet with you?" At this moment, Gu Fei walked out from behind Xiao Ye and the red-browed Eagle King. He smiled at the little princess of the Dragon Clan of the West Sea who was sitting cross-legged in the void. "How are we betting? What are we betting on?" Long Xiao was sweating profusely. She couldn't hold on any longer. "Let's bet on whether or not you can break the great city defense formation. If you can do whatever you want with me. If you can't, then you have to worship me as your master. How about that?" Gu Fei's love for talent was aroused. This little girl from the Dragon Clan of the West Sea was not bad. In the Void Realm, she was able to cultivate array Dao to the half-step Grand Master realm. This was enough to prove that this little girl's talent was really amazing. He had already taken in one girl, so he didn't mind taking in another one. "Haha, worship you as my master? Are you kidding me?" Long Xiaozhou thought that Gu Fei was just a little guy from the human race, yet he dared to act so presumptuously in front of her. Therefore, when she heard that Gu Fei wanted to take her as a disciple, she immediately showed a look of disdain. "Why? I'm asking if you dare to bet or not." Gu Fei was still very calm. "Your Highness, you must not fall for the tricks of these cunning humans." The Black Dragon King, who was far away, hurriedly said. "I have my own score," Long Xiao said in a deep voice. "Why? Are you afraid?" Gu Fei said with some disdain. "What did you say? When has this princess been afraid? Let's bet. If you lose, then I will do whatever I want with you." Long Xiao said angrily. Although the Sky Lightning Array might not be able to break this array, she was the strongest array formation grandmaster in the Void Realm. She didn't believe that she couldn't break this array. Who in this world was stronger than the array formation ancestor of the Ling Tian Palace? All right, I will wait for you to break the array. Gu Fei smiled. At this moment, the red-browed Eagle King actually moved a chair over and let Gu Fei sit down. When Long Xiaozhou saw this scene, she couldn't help but be surprised. Why were these two fellows so respectful to this black-robed youth? One had to know that the red-browed Eagle King was a peak god king. Why was he moving a chair for this youth so respectfully? Long Xiaozhou was very curious about the identity of this black-robed youth. However, she didn't expect that this black-robed youth was the famous Gu Fei. Rumble! The Sky Lightning Array was still showing its might. Long Xiaozhou wanted to use the Sky Lightning Array to weaken the power of the West Gorge City's defensive array before breaking it. In her opinion, even if the Sky Lightning Array couldn't break the array, it could at least weaken the power of the array. However, Long Xiaozhou didn't expect that the array that Gu Fei set up had another special characteristic. That was, Gu Fei's array could devour all the spiritual energy of heaven and earth, and transform it into its own power. Not only could Long Xiaozhou's Sky Lightning Array not weaken the power of Gu Fei's array, but it was also providing an endless supply of power to Gu Fei's array. The power of Gu Fei's array was getting stronger and stronger. Long Xiaozhou was dreaming if she wanted to break the array. Master, that girl outside actually dared to bet with you. She will definitely lose. On top of the West Gorge City's city wall, the little girl smiled. A little girl who doesn't know the immensity of heaven and earth dares to be impudent in front of Master. Isn't she looking for trouble? The red-browed Eagle King also smiled. After Long Xiaozhou, who was sitting cross-legged in midair, heard the words of the little girl and the red-browed Eagle King, she was so frightened that she almost fell from the sky. She finally knew who this black-clothed youth was. The red-browed Eagle King was a peak divine king existence. He only had one master, and that was Gu Fei. He was actually Gu Fei. She didn't expect that she actually made an error of judgment this time. This black-clothed youth was actually Gu Fei. No wonder this guy said something about not judging a book by its cover just now. Gu Fei, this guy's name had shaken the world recently. He set off a storm in the southern wilderness with his power alone, causing a commotion everywhere. Even the Eastern Wilderness Demon race and the West Sea Dragon race couldn't sit still anymore. Although Long Xiaozhou was far away in the West Sea Dragon Palace, she had also heard of Gu Fei's name. Many people said that this Gu Fei was very likely to overthrow the barbarian sovereign and replace him, becoming the new emperor of the southern wilderness. Moreover, this West Gorge City's grand array was set up by Gu Fei. No wonder he dared to bet with her. Chapter 4985. The guy who made the bet with him was actually Gu Fei. Long Xiao was so shocked that he almost fell from the sky. Was this guy pretending to be weak? How preposterous! Long Xiao was infuriated. In the next moment, the sky thunder formation immediately changed. Countless dazzling lightning flashed in the thunderclouds, like silver snakes swimming in the thunderclouds. An extremely destructive aura burst out from the thunderclouds. Even the West Sea Dragon clan army that had retreated more than 10 li away was terrified. Every living being's soul was trembling. The people inside West Gorge City were in an even worse state. All of them hid and trembled in fear. Boom! A huge bolt of lightning struck the layer of divine light above West Gorge City. Countless formation runes appeared on the divine light and devoured most of the lightning energy. What? Long Xiaozhou finally realized that something was wrong. His opponent's formation could devour the energy of his heavenly lightning formation. One lightning bolt after another struck the divine light that protected West Gorge City, causing ripples to appear on the surface of the divine light. However, Gu Fei's formation was unbreakable. Even if Long Xiao was exhausted to the point of vomiting blood, he still wouldn't be able to break the formation. However, Long Xiaozhou didn't realize this. He continued to activate the heavenly lightning formation. Earth-shattering thunder rumbled. The formation-breaking arrows hidden in the heavenly lightning formation were finally going to show their might. Every arrow was releasing its strongest power. As the formation-breaking arrows exploded in the sky above West Gorge City, Gu-Fei's formation was finally shaken. "Explode!" Long Xiao roared angrily. He made up his mind and detonated the entire heavenly lightning formation. An unprecedented amount of destructive energy exploded, causing the void to crack. This earth-shattering scene stunned everyone. Even the Black Dragon King, a half-step Emperor realm expert, was dumbfounded. He didn't know that a formation could be this powerful. Long Xiaozhou was only a divine king, but the power of the heavenly lightning formation could easily kill a half-step Emperor realm expert. "Oh my God, is this the power of a formation?" Prime Minister Turtle murmured. The arrayed Tao of the Void Realm had never been valued. Who would have thought that the power of this array would be so astonishing? After today, the Tao of arrays will definitely be valued by the world. At this time, in the sky above West Gorge City, a huge ball of lightning exploded. The mountain ridges around West Gorge City shook, and huge cracks appeared on the mountain. Countless rocks tumbled down from the mountains. The mountains near Western Gorge City were in chaos. The big shots who were watching the battle had no choice but to retreat into the distance. The exploding lightning turned into countless bolts of lightning that shot out in all directions. Some unlucky fellows were directly struck by the bolts of lightning, their bodies emitting black smoke as they fell from the sky. Even if those unlucky fellows were not struck to death by the lightning, they would still fall half to death. The heaven-battering Heavenly King was an unlucky guy. He was directly hit by a bolt of lightning and instantly turned into a broom. His face was pitch black and his straight hair was still smoking. This, beside the heaven-battering King, Wu Ying, the north-vanquishing King, and the 10,000 Elephant King were scared out of their wits. With a whoosh, they disappeared without a trace. They didn't want to be struck by lightning like the heaven-battering King. "You guys!" Seeing that these fellows had no sense of loyalty, the heaven-battering King was so angry that he almost vomited blood. His injuries weren't light. Seeing the lightning flying around him, he couldn't care less and fled as well. A bolt of lightning flashed across the void and directly struck a mountain ridge a dozen miles away. The next moment, with a loud boom, the entire mountain ridge exploded. Dust rose into the sky, and rocks flew everywhere. As the huge thunderball exploded, many bolts of lightning directly struck the West Sea Dragon Tribe's array. The speed of the lightning was extremely fast. The army of the West Sea Dragon Tribe had no time to dodge. "Roar!" The Black Dragon King roared angrily and rushed forward. With a punch, he dispersed a bolt of lightning. Then, he took out the Black Dragon's shield and blocked the rest of the lightning. However, the power of the lightning was so strong that the Black Dragon King's entire right arm was numb. "What a powerful lightning!" The Black Dragon King was extremely shocked. At this moment, West Gorge City, which bore the brunt of the attack, was as still as a mountain. A ball of divine light enveloped West Gorge City. The Sky Thunder Array exploded, erupting with unprecedented power of lightning. However, the ball of divine light that enveloped West Gorge City only shook a few times. On top of West Gorge City, Xiaoya and the red-browed Eagle King were also stunned by the scene in the sky. They couldn't speak for a long time. Only Gu-Fei sat on a chair, eating celestial fruits and drinking celestial wine. He was very satisfied. He didn't even look at the destructive scene in the sky. Outside the array, Long Xiaozhou's face flushed when he saw this scene. In the next moment, he spat out a mouthful of blood. Rumble! The heaven and earth shook. The destructive power began to weaken, and the endless lightning dissipated in the void. The Sky Thunder Array was finished. After a full hour, the thunderclouds in the sky dissipated completely, and peace was restored. At this moment, Long Xiao was in an extremely sorry state. He was also very weak. "I'll come again tomorrow." Long Xiao directly turned around and left. "Okay, I'll wait for you." Gu-Fei smiled. This guy. Long Xiaozhou was both shocked and angry. The opponent's arrayed Tao cultivation shocked her. He gave her a feeling that he was unfathomable. She had only felt such a feeling from her master before. How is this possible? Long Xiaoro simply didn't believe that this guy named Gu Fei's arrayed Tao cultivation could be compared to her master. One should know that her master was known as the #1 arrayed Tao cultivator in the Void Realm. How could the master of a little girl from the West Sea Dragon race be an ordinary person? Master, are we just going to let this little girl go like this? Xiaoya asked in confusion. Long Xiaoro was currently at her weakest. If he didn't take her down now, when would he? There's no fun in taking her down. Gu Fei smiled. It wasn't easy for him to meet an interesting person. Naturally, he wanted to have some fun. Otherwise, wouldn't it be too boring? Xiaoya and the red-browed Eagle King were speechless when they heard this. The West Sea Dragon race army came in high spirits but returned in disappointment. This greatly affected the morale of the West Sea Dragon race army. After continuous losses, the West Sea Dragon race army was filled with a pessimistic mood. While Gu Fei was blocking the West Sea Dragon race army, the sorcerer race was also mobilizing their troops. The situation seemed to be developing in a good direction. However, a piece of news spread and shook the entire South China. Chapter 4986. The entire Void Realm was shaken by the news that the people from Ling Tian Palace were coming. This was because Ling Tian Palace's position in the Void Realm was too high. It was in existence above all the forces in the Void Realm. Even the emperors of the 5 forces had to lower their heads in front of Ling Tian Palace. However, Ling Tian Palace usually didn't care about worldly affairs. Even if the 5 forces went to war, Ling Tian Palace wouldn't care. Only when something threatened the safety of the entire Void Realm would Ling Tian Palace intervene. Could it be that something that threatened the safety of the entire Void Realm had happened? Various forces couldn't help but speculate. Some even thought about the disappearance of the 5 emperors. Southern Man was already in a mess, and the Man Sovereign hadn't appeared yet. No one knew why the people from Ling Tian Palace would appear. However, there was news that the second son of the Man Sovereign, Man Yu, wanted to invite the people from Ling Tian Palace down the mountain. Could it be that Man Yu could invite the people from Ling Tian Palace? Did he have that much influence? Just as various forces were guessing, a mysterious person came to West Garrison City. Quickly go and inform them that Long Xiaozhou's senior brother is here. Outside the city gate of West Garrison City, a young man in white said arrogantly to the guards of the West Sea Dragon clan. Where did this human come from? Get lost or I'll kill you. A Horn Sea clan soldier waved the saber in his hand and shouted at the young man in white. What? The young man in white was instantly enraged. He was a genius of the sect and had high hopes for him. When had he ever been shouted at like this? Why are you still here? Do you want to die? Another Sea Race soldier also walked over. When they attacked West Gorge City, they suffered successive defeats, causing them to feel a little sullen. It was already rare that they didn't immediately kill the human when they saw him. Moreover, the Sea Race soldiers guarding the gate didn't even know who Long Xiaozhou was. Their status was too low. If the young man in white said that he wanted to find the little princess of the West Sea Dragon clan, these 2 fellows probably wouldn't dare to be so presumptuous. How dare you? Very well, go to hell. Pa! The young man in white snapped his fingers in a flashy manner. In the next moment, the 2 Sea Race soldiers exploded on the spot, and their weapons fell to the ground with a clang. This was simply killing at the slightest disagreement. Is this young master someone you can bully? The white-robed youth said coldly and arrogantly. At this moment, the tightly shut city gate opened wide. Countless Sea Tribe soldiers rushed out of the city and surrounded the white-robed youth. Human! How dare you come here and cause trouble? Are you courting death? The leading general roared at the white-robed youth. I'm here to die. What? Can you kill me? The white-robed youth was so angry that he laughed. He was a proud son of heaven, so when had he ever suffered such humiliation? Kill! The general roared in anger and immediately attacked. The battle spear in his hand stabbed towards the forehead of the white-robed young man. The white-robed young man stretched out his right hand, and the next moment, all the Sea Tribe soldiers were stunned. The white-robed young man actually used his index and middle fingers to catch the tip of the spear. The tip of the spear was only a few inches away from the white-robed youth's forehead. Roar! The general roared and used all his strength to stab forward. However, the spear that was caught by the white-robed youth could no longer move forward. Looking at this scene, all the Sea Tribe soldiers were so shocked that their eyeballs were about to drop to the ground. Quan Hai Zhang, this? The other marine race general's voice trembled when he saw this scene. The person who had attacked the white-robed youth was the Sea Tribe's strongest general, Quan Hai Zhang. The white-robed youth used 2 fingers to catch the spear of Quan Hai. This was way too heaven-defying. Humph! How dare you offend me? You can go and die now. The white-robed youth laughed coldly as he squeezed the spear between his 2 fingers. A ball of godly light appeared and shattered the spear. That ball of godly light instantly enveloped Quan Hai. In the next moment, that brave Quan Hai Zhang was annihilated within the godly light. Both his body and soul were destroyed. All the powerful beings of the sea race were stumped. This human was way too strong, wasn't he? You actually dared to kill my subordinate. At this time, an angry roar sounded. The purple-scaled flood dragon King Aou came out. Although Aou was nothing much, he was a divine king-level existence. He was much stronger than Quan Hai Zhang just now. Just an ant. So what if I killed him? What's there to be surprised about? The white-robed youth said disapprovingly. You. Aou was about to flare up. Senior brother, is that you? Right at this moment, a voice rang out. Long Xiaozhou had arrived along with the voice. Little junior sister, is this how you welcome me? The white-robed youth said indifferently. What? What's going on? Aou was stunned. This guy was actually Princess Xiaozhou's senior brother? The surrounding Sea Tribe soldiers were also stunned on the spot. West Sea Dragon Race's princess, how noble was her status? And this human was actually Her Highness's senior brother? This background was a little too big, right? All of you scram for me. Long Xiaozhou roared at the surrounding people. These guys actually dared to offend her senior brother. They deserved to die. But she could not really kill them either. Yes, Your Highness. The surrounding Sea Tribe soldiers all retreated in fear. Little junior sister, I killed a few of your subordinates. You don't mind, right? The white-robed youth said indifferently. Senior brother Bai Feng must be joking. Senior brother, please. Long Xiaozhou personally welcomed the white-robed youth into the city lord residence. Black Dragon King and Prime Minister Turtle also hurried over to greet him. As for Quan Hai Zhang, he died in vain. Because no one dared to mention this matter in front of the white-robed youth. The white-robed youth killed Quan Hai Zhang as easily as crushing an ant. Long Xiaozhou personally hosted a banquet to entertain Bai Feng. This Bai Feng was an elite of Towering Heaven Palace's younger generation. He was also the disciple of Towering Heaven Palace's Array Dao ancestor. He was Long Xiaozhou's senior brother. Senior brother Bai Feng, I didn't expect you to come so quickly. Senior brother, I'll have to trouble you this time. Long Xiaozhou said to Bai Feng during the banquet. Since little junior sister wants to help, how can I not help? Bai Feng smiled. In fact, he also wanted to see this Array Dao expert, Gu Fei, who suddenly appeared. The Array Dao was one of the Towering Heaven Palace's special skills. In the entire Void Realm, the Towering Heaven Palace's Array Dao was definitely the best in the world. No one else's Array Dao could surpass them. Little junior sister couldn't even break the Array Dao of a small city? Bai Feng naturally came to take a look when he heard the news. In that case, many thanks, senior brother. Junior sister naturally won't let senior brother make a wasted trip. Long Xiao smiled. That's for the best. Bai Feng also smiled. If there were no benefits, why would he help Long Xiaozhou? Long Xiao had what he wanted in his hands, so he eagerly rushed over to Nan Man. At this time, Gu Fei, who was in West Gorge City, didn't know that the Towering Heaven Palace's people had already arrived at West Garrison City. Chapter 4987. The news that the people from the Lingtian Palace had come to the Western Garrison City quickly spread. The entire western region of the southern wilderness was shaken, and countless important figures were shocked. Not to mention the southern wilderness, even in the entire Void Realm, Lingtian Palace was a transcendent existence, above the five forces. Although the members of the Lingtian Palace did not participate in worldly affairs and did not care much about worldly affairs, this did not weaken the influence of the Lingtian Palace in the Void Realm. Regardless of whether it was the sorcerer tribe or the barbarian sovereign, they were all acknowledged by the Lingtian Palace. Only by obtaining the recognition of Lingtian Palace could the barbarian sovereign become the sovereign of Southern Barbarian, and control the life and death of billions of Southern Barbarian creatures. Only those who were recognized by the Lingtian Palace could be considered orthodox. Back then, when the barbarian sovereign defeated the shaman sovereign and became the Southern Barbarian sovereign, the people from the Lingtian Palace had also appeared at the barbarian sovereign's coronation ceremony. Now, people from the Lingtian Palace had appeared in the Western Garrison City. It was obvious that they wanted to help the West Sea Dragon clan. Could it be that the Lingtian Palace actually supported the West Sea Dragon clan to unify the Southern Barbarians? If that was the case, it would be fun. Which one of you knows Lingtian Palace's background? In the West Gorge City's City Lord's mansion, Gu Fei was lying on the throne in the middle of the main hall as he glanced at the crowd below. Everyone looked at each other without saying a word. At this moment, Qiu Qianjian, Han Chong of the Lunar Divine Fist, and the King of Sabers, Luo Lai, had all arrived at the West Gorge City. Even the sorcerer tribe's heaven shaman priest, Wu Lingxue, had come after hearing the news. The relationship between Wu Lingxue and Gu Fei was a little special. If she wanted to come, no one could stop her. Upon hearing the name Lingtian Palace, everyone in the hall, including Wu Lingxue, revealed a look of fear. If the Lingtian Palace people support the West Sea Dragon clan, Wu Lingxue wanted to say something but stopped. At this time, everyone was looking at Gu Fei, who was sitting on the throne. You guys seem to be very afraid of people from Lingtian Palace. Gu Fei was a little surprised. He had seen the expressions of everyone in the hall. These fellows were very apprehensive of the people from Lingtian Palace. Master, we are really afraid. Not only us, I think everyone in this mirage is afraid. Qiu Qianjian said with a solemn expression. Yes, Lingtian Palace is above the heavens, Wu Lingxue said in a deep voice. TSK. A bunch of good-for-nothings. Gu Fei didn't think much of it. This Lingtian Palace actually claimed to be above the heavens. How arrogant. When I was in the lower realm, I directly stepped on the heavens. Could it be that there was also such a supreme existence in this force? No one dared to speak. Master is awesome, he doesn't even put Lingtian Palace in his eyes. The more Gu Fei displayed his disdain for Lingtian Palace, the more curious everyone was about Gu Fei's background. Who was his master? How could he be so confident to look down on Lingtian Palace? Who cares about the Towering Heaven Palace mausoleum? They are nothing more than clowns in my eyes. No matter how much they jump around, they can't break my formation. Gu Fei was very confident. What? Everyone looked at Gu Fei in extreme shock. Master's tone was too arrogant. Lingtian Palace was an existence that all five forces had to worship. Who in the entire Void Realm dared to look down on Lingtian Palace? At this moment, in Western Garrison City, the white-robed youth, Bai Feng, was very arrogant and did not care about anyone at all. This made the Black Dragon King and the others secretly unhappy. However, they did not dare to offend this distinguished guest from Lingtian Palace. After all, Bai Feng was Long Xiaozhou's senior brother. Long Xiaozhou also did not like this senior brother. However, she did not dare to offend him because she knew his temperament very well. If she neglected him, it would not end well for her. After eating and drinking to his heart's content, Bai Feng said to Long Xiaozhou with satisfaction, Little junior sister, let me rest for a while. Tomorrow, I will break that damned formation and help you vent your anger. How about that? In that case, I will have to trouble senior brother. I will be very grateful. Long Shao smiled. After that, the geocentric netherworld spring water. Bai Feng wanted to say something but stopped. Haha, senior brother, don't worry. I will definitely do what I promise you. Although Long Shao was still smiling, she despised this fellow in her heart. Why would this fellow be so kind as to help her? He was eyeing her geocentric netherworld spring water. The geocentric netherworld spring water was obtained by her after entering the West Sea Demon Abyss and risking her life. It could corrode anything with spirituality in the world. It was a supreme treasure. Ever since Long Xiaozhou obtained the geocentric netherworld spring water, she became the target of various powerhouses. In the end, she even attracted the attention of Ling Tian Palace. The storm only subsided when the array formation ancestor of Ling Tian Palace accepted Long Xiaozhou as a disciple. Ever since Long Xiaozhou became a disciple of Ling Tian Palace, no one dared to have any designs on her. However, her senior brother still coveted the geocentric netherworld spring water in her hands. The geocentric netherworld spring water was very useful. Countless people were envious of it. Western Garrison City, in the city lord's residence. The night passed uneventfully. Early in the morning the next day, Bai Feng impatiently went to break the formation. He did not bring anyone with him, nor did he need the protection of the Black Dragon King's troops. He was alone, dressed in white, and faced the rising sun as he walked out of the slowly opening city gates. What the F***ck? On top of the city walls, the Black Dragon King cursed as he watched Bai Feng's departing figure. He had long since disliked Bai Feng, this fellow who was a cut above others. Lower your voice. It won't be good if he hears you. The Turtle Prime Minister beside the Black Dragon King said in shock. Humph. Unless he has the heaven listening technique, how can he hear us? The Black Dragon King said disapprovingly. My senior brother seems to have cultivated the heaven listening technique. A voice suddenly sounded beside the Black Dragon King. What? The Black Dragon King was so frightened that his legs turned to jelly, and he almost fell to the ground. Who is that guy? On top of the city walls of Western Canyon City, Xiaoya suddenly noticed a white figure walking over from afar. That person was dressed in white, and he walked with the wind. He did not seem to be from the mortal world, and he gave off an otherworldly feeling. That person seemed to be strolling leisurely, but his speed was extremely fast. In just a blink of an eye, that person had arrived in front of the city gates. The people inside, listen up. Obediently come out and surrender, and I will spare your lives. Otherwise, I will make sure that all of you die without a complete corpse. The white-clothed youth looked at Xiaoya on top of the city walls coldly and arrogantly. This white-clothed youth was a disciple of the Ling Tian Palace, Long Xiaozhou's senior brother, Bai Feng. Hearing the arrogant words of this white-clothed youth, everyone on top of the city walls was stunned, especially Xiaoya. Who do you think you are? How dare you come here and act crazily? On top of the city wall, Xiaoya looked at the guy below as if he was a fool. What did you say? I am the sixth disciple of the Ling Tian Palace's ancestor Tianhong, Bai Feng. How dare you be impudent in front of me? Bai Feng was infuriated. He immediately glared at Xiaoya and shouted. What? Chapter 4988. The newcomers were from the Ling Tian Palace. Xiaoya, who was on the city wall, could not help but be shocked. Ling Tian Palace was famous in the southern wilderness, and even the entire Void Realm. Who did not know about it? It was a transcendent force that claimed the Ling family was above the heavens. Since ancient times, the rulers of the five forces had changed countless times. However, the Ling Tian Palace was still above the five forces. Over the years, was there anyone who challenged the Ling Tian Palace's supreme position in the Void Realm? There was definitely someone who did. However, those who dared to challenge the Ling Tian Palace all ended up defeated. The Ling Tian Palace's position in the Void Realm was unshakable. Are you afraid now? It's too late. Bai Feng, who was in front of the city gate, said arrogantly. This? Xiaoya immediately felt a headache. The people from the Ling Tian Palace were not to be trifled with. In her previous life, she knew that the Ling Tian Palace was an invincible existence in the Void Realm. Even though this white-clothed youth was very young, he was from the Ling Tian Palace. Wherever he went, he would definitely attract the attention of various forces. The people from the Ling Tian Palace are here? At this moment, the red-browed Eagle King, the Lunar Divine Fist Han Chong, the Saber King Luo Lai, and the one-armed sword King Qiu Qiangjian all ran out. Everyone was extremely nervous. Is he here? Everyone is afraid of him. I want to see if that guy has 3 heads and 6 arms. Gu Fei walked up the city wall unhurriedly. All of you, wait for your deaths! Bai Feng roared. He, who was high and mighty, thought highly of himself. However, he was continuously looked down upon. This made him angry out of humiliation. Everyone on the city wall was shocked and did not know what to do. I will wait for my death here. Can you come in? While everyone was still in shock, a voice suddenly rang out, causing everyone to jump in fright. It's just a small Great City barrier array. I can break it with a wave of my hand. Bai Feng sneered. Is that so? Then wave your hand and see if you can break it. Gu Fei mocked. Since you want to die early and reincarnate early, I'll fulfill your wish. Bai Feng was enraged, and the veins on his forehead throbbed. In the next moment, he patted an inconspicuous cloth bag on his waist. Then, numerous blood shadows flew out from the bag and soared into the sky, transforming into numerous blood-red flags that descended towards the surroundings of West Gorge City. 7, you have some ability! When Gu Fei saw this, he didn't think much of it at all. You! Bai Feng was truly enraged. The other party's disdainful expression completely infuriated him. A total of 49 blood-red flags rushed out of Bai Feng's sack and stuck themselves in the mountain ridges surrounding West Gorge City. When Xiaoya and the others saw this, they immediately became nervous. Boom! As Bai Feng took out an array disc, the 49 blood-red flags erupted with a towering blood-red light at the same time. Countless array patterns emerged on each blood-red flag, attracting the surrounding spiritual energy of heaven and earth. Everyone on top of the city wall felt a powerful force appear between the heavens and earth. This force directly enveloped the entire West Gorge City. At the same time, the Great City Barrier Array of West Gorge City was also activated. A faint layer of divine light appeared in the void, blocking the blood-red light outside of the divine light. How dare you look down on Lord Bai? Today, I'll turn all of you into ashes and destroy your bodies and souls. I'll let you know how powerful Lord Bai is. Bai Feng activated the array basin. In the next moment, the array basin soared into the sky and floated there, blooming with endless blood-red light. The blood-red array patterns instantly covered the entire sky. The array patterns of the array basin and the array patterns that rushed out from the 49 blood-red flags merged into one. In the next moment, an earth-shattering energy fluctuation erupted. Everyone who saw this scene was shocked to the extreme. This was a blood-red array. To be precise, it was simply a blood-red purgatory. Blood-red demonic fire emerged from the array and burned towards the Great City Barrier Array of West Gorge City. The boundless blood-red light illuminated the entire sky in a blood-red color. The show is finally on. The big shots who had been watching from the sidelines were surprised and delighted to see this scene. Gu Fei was simply a lunatic. He actually dared to provoke the people from the Ling Tian Palace. They were from the Ling Tian Palace. The big shots who were well informed naturally knew who was going to break the array today. The Ling Tian Palace's array Dao was definitely the best in the Void Realm. Patriarch Tian Hong was known as the best in the Void Realm's array Dao. This Bai Feng was merely the 6th disciple of Patriarch Tian Hong. Bai Feng's attack was earth-shattering. This made the big shots who were watching the battlefield that Bai Feng was indeed worthy of his reputation. He was indeed worthy of being the disciple of Patriarch Tian Hong. One had to admit that in terms of formation Dao cultivation, Bai Feng was not just a little stronger than Long Xiaozhou. This is blood prison refining the heavens! In the distant sky, Long Xiao had also arrived. She couldn't help but exclaim when she saw Bai Feng actually set up such a killing array. This was one of the top 10 killing arrays of the Lingtian Palace. It was incomparably powerful, and was said to be able to refine even the sky. In order to obtain the geocentric netherworld spring water from Long Xiaozhou, Bai Feng really put in a lot of effort this time. If he still couldn't deal with this city-protecting array, he could scram back to the Lingtian Palace. At this moment, Xiaoye and the rest who were on the city wall were dumbfounded. What was going on? Was he really going to refine all the living creatures in the entire city to death? Interesting. Please continue with your performance. Gu Fei asked someone to bring another chair over. Then, he leisurely ate the spiritual fruit that Xiaoye prepared. He was actually not worried that his array would be broken by the guy outside. You bastard! Bai Feng was so infuriated by Gu Fei that he almost spat out a mouthful of blood. This fellow actually didn't put him in his eyes at all. He was simply abominable to the extreme. I say, don't scold me. Is everyone in the Lingtian Palace the same as you? Gu Fei chuckled. Bai Feng was already speechless. At this moment, the entire blood prison refining the heavens had already taken shape. Within the soaring blood light, there were actually blood-colored demonic shadows that were faintly discernible. This great array actually turned the area into a terrifying demonic domain. Moreover, the blood light could actually corrode the Western Gorge City's city-protecting divine light. The Western Gorge City's city-protecting divine light actually dimmed. It seems to be not bad. Gu Fei couldn't help but nod. Compared to Gu Fei's calmness, Xiaoye and the rest were quite frightened. If the blood light corroded the city-protecting divine light, they would be dead. Master this! Xiaoye's expression changed drastically. Calm down. What is there to be afraid of? No one can break my array, Gu Fei said calmly. At this moment, the array basin of Western Gorge City's city-protecting array that was hidden in the void appeared in the sky above Western Gorge City. Array patterns directly flew out from the array plate and branded the surrounding void. Chapter 4989. The appearance of the Lingtian Palace's disciple, Bai Feng, made Xiaoye and the rest extremely nervous. After all, the Lingtian Palace's reputation in the Void Realm was too resounding. It was a colossus that even the 5 factions had to bow down to. Moreover, Bai Feng was the 6th disciple of the Lingtian Palace's array formation ancestor. His array formation cultivation had already been inherited by the array formation ancestor, and was much stronger than Long Xiao. He immediately used the Lingtian Palace's heaven refining blood prison array. 49 blood prison flags were inserted into the mountain ridges around West Gorge City. Each of the flags erupted with a monstrous bloody light. On the blood prison demonic flags, countless demonic patterns intertwined and a powerful force erupted from the demonic flags. It was as though a terrifying demonic creature was about to be awakened in each demonic flag. Countless blood-colored array patterns enveloped the entire West Gorge City. The entire area around West Gorge City seemed to have turned into a terrifying bloody purgatory in an instant. Endless blood-colored demonic flames emerged from the void that was enveloped by the heaven-refining blood prison array. The demonic flames caused the void to distort. It was extremely terrifying. Even the protective barrier of the West Gorge City, which Gu Fei had given to the red-eyebrowed Eagle King to control, had dimmed by the devilish flames. However, Gu Fei was not worried at all. However, Xiaoye and the rest were shocked by this scene. Indeed, the array disk hidden in the sky above West Gorge City soon appeared. The power of the West Gorge City's protective array instantly increased, and the protective divine light became bright again. What? Bai Feng, who originally thought that he could break the other party's protective array, could not help but be shocked and angry when he saw this scene. The other party's array formation cultivation was actually so profound. It was no wonder that Long Xiaozhou could not break the protective array here. I don't believe that I can't break this array. Bai Feng gritted his teeth and directly activated the heaven-refining blood prison array. An even more powerful force erupted from the 49 blood prison demonic flags, turning into 49 blood-colored demonic dragons that charged towards the protective array's protective light shield. An incomparably shocking collision sound was heard. The 49 blood-colored demonic dragons frantically charged towards the protective light shield of the protective array. Ripples that could be seen with the naked eye appeared on the light shield. Preposterous! Bai Feng had no choice but to be visibly moved. This grand formation was simply like a tortoise's shell, and no matter how he attacked, he was unable to break it or even shake it. Where exactly did this freak called Gu Fei come from? 49 blood-colored demonic dragons launched a frenzied barrage of attacks at the West Gorge City's Great City Barrier Formation. However, their attacks were completely useless. "Master, you're still the best!" Xiaoya exclaimed. No matter how vast the flames of blood raged outside, no matter how the blood dragon wreaked havoc, none of the living beings within West Gorge City were affected. The red-browed Eagle King and the others felt their hearts tremble. Their master was truly unfathomable. "It's just two brats outside. They're really too naive to think that they can break through my formation," Gu Fei said indifferently. "Master is right." Saber King Luolai laughed. "Follow me, and you will reach the peak of your life." Gu Fei reclined on the chair, crossed his legs, and said leisurely, "We are willing to go through water and tread on fire for Master." The red-browed Eagle King and the others knelt down in front of Gu Fei. At this moment, Bai Feng was already going crazy. If even the blood prison heaven refining formation couldn't break the other party's formation, then he could only scram. This was because the blood prison heaven refining formation was the strongest formation he could use. "Blood prison samsara!" Bai Feng roared angrily. He bit the tip of his tongue and spat a mouthful of blood on the formation plate. In the next moment, the formation plate blossomed with an unprecedentedly strong blood-colored light. Countless blood-colored formation patterns rushed out from the formation plate and branded the void in all directions. At the same time, the 49 blood prison demonic flags that were inserted into the mountain ridges around West Gorge City also rushed out with countless formation patterns. The entire void was isolated, and the entire city was submerged in blood-colored light. From afar, it looked like a huge blood-colored flame was burning. Even from the top of the western garrison city's city walls, one could see this shocking scene. "My senior brother is quite capable." On the city walls of West Gorge City, Long Xiao stared at the blood-colored flame-like blood-colored light in the distance and was shocked. Bai Feng's array Dao cultivation was far above his. Moreover, Master actually gave the 49 blood prison demonic flags to Bai Feng. It seemed that Bai Feng had been very favored by Master recently. Where there were people, there would be conflicts, and where there were people, there would be grudges. Although the Ling Tian Palace had a transcendent status, and the people in the Ling Tian Palace were also geniuses, the Ling Tian Palace was not as united as before. However, the Ling Tian Palace was not united internally. The competition within the Ling Tian Palace was also very intense. Bai Feng was only the 6th disciple of the Array Dao ancestor. There were still 5 senior brothers in front of him, and these senior brothers were not easy to deal with either. If Bai Feng was not favored by the Array Dao ancestor, why would the Array Dao ancestor give the 49 blood prison demonic flags to Bai Feng? Thinking of this, Long Shuzhou's face was filled with displeasure. Was it because he was not a human, so Master was not willing to impart the true teachings of Array Dao to him? "The people from the Ling Tian Palace are indeed different," the Black Dragon King exclaimed. "Humph! You can go and collect Bai Feng's corpse later," Long Xiao said coldly. She hated Bai Feng because he had always been pestering her, wanting to obtain her geocentric netherworld spring water. "Your Highness, isn't he your senior brother? Why does it sound like your Highness and that guy are enemies?" The Black Dragon King looked at Long Xiao in surprise. "On the surface, senior brother," Long Xiao said coldly. "Understood." The Black Dragon King smiled and said no more. At this time, the experts who were watching the show were also extremely shocked. No one expected that Gu Fei's array could actually block Bai Feng's killing array. Heaven Battering King, you are going to lose! In the distant sky, Wu Ying laughed proudly in a cloud. He had a bet with the Heaven Battering King. If he won, the Heaven Battering King's divine medicine would be his. On the contrary, if he lost, he would have to eat dirt. Humph, don't think that Bai Feng has the upper hand. It's hard to say who will have the last laugh. The Heaven Battering King sneered. Hee, according to this array, how can Gu Fei block it? Wu Ying was even more proud. Let's wait and see. The Heaven Battering King believed in his judgment because Gu Fei had never been defeated since his debut. Would he be defeated by Bai Feng? Just when Wu Ying thought that Bai Feng was going to break through the array of West Gorge City, Bai Feng was already afraid. He realized that even if he exerted the power of the Blood Prison Heaven Refining Array to the extreme, he still could not do anything to Gu Fei. If this continued, if Gu Fei did not die, Bai Feng would exhaust all his primordial qi and die. At this time, Gu Fei had not made a move yet. Is that all you have? Chapter 4990. The Heaven Refining Blood Prison Array was Ling Tian Palace's trump card. Bai Feng once used this array to annihilate an overseas demonic cult. In that battle, the headquarters of the overseas devil cult, an island with a circumference of dozens of miles, was directly refined by Bai Feng overnight with the Blood Prison Heaven Refining Formation, and countless devil cult followers died tragically. This peerless demonic array that could refine an island couldn't even refine the defensive array of a small West Gorge city. Bai Feng was shocked, angry, and afraid. Could it be that Gu Fei's array Dao cultivation was far above his? However, he was very unwilling. Ling Tian Palace's array Dao was number 1 in the world. How could it be that they couldn't even deal with a nobody? However, facts spoke louder than words. He, Bai Feng, couldn't break Gu Fei's array. Damn it! Bai Feng, who was sitting cross-legged in the void, roared continuously. Countless array runes rushed out from his body and branded the surrounding void. The power of the Heaven Refining Blood Prison Array continued to increase. The heaven and earth spiritual energy of the entire region gathered towards the Heaven Refining Blood Prison Array. However, by forcibly activating the killing array, the pressure that Bai Feng had to bear also multiplied. There was a limit to one's strength. No matter how powerful Bai Feng was, if he forcefully increased the power of the killing array, he would be in danger of exploding at any time. At this time, Gu Fei still didn't make a move. Even though the blood fire outside the defensive array was monstrous, it couldn't refine the defensive array. Ever since the array disk of the defensive array appeared, the defensive barrier of West Gorge City had never weakened. Is that all you have? Gu Fei said to Bai Feng with some disappointment. Ling Tian Palace's array Dao was only SOSO. This killing array wasn't very terrifying. You! Bai Feng was infuriated by Gu Fei. His body swayed and he almost fell from the sky. Alright, if this is all you have, you can die now. Gu Fei sat on the chair and said indifferently. You want to kill me? With just you? Bai Feng really thought that he heard wrong. This guy actually wanted to kill him. Didn't this guy know that he was a disciple of Ling Tian Palace? Me? After saying that, Gu Fei charged out from the top of the city wall. He passed through the sphere of divine light that enveloped the entirety of West Gorge City and appeared outside the great defensive array. Master! Xiaoya, the red-browed Eagle King, and the others on top of the city wall were shocked when they saw this scene. Haha, since you're courting death, don't blame me. When Bai Feng saw that Gu Fei had actually charged out of the city guarding grand formation, he couldn't help but be pleasantly surprised. In the next moment, with a command in his heart, boundless blood-colored devilish flames burned towards Gu Fei. Today, I'll show you what a formation is. After saying that, Gu Fei's body shook. In the next moment, array runes rushed out from his body one after another to form a large array around him. Countless devilish flames that burned towards Gu Fei were instantly devoured by the void around him and disappeared without a trace. At this moment, Gu Fei seemed to have suddenly turned into a bottomless black hole, crazily devouring the power of the blood prison heaven refining grand formation around him. What? When Bai Feng saw this, he was really shocked. The other party could actually devour the power of his blood prison heaven refining grand formation. What kind of cultivation technique was this? You can go on your way. Gu Fei suddenly disappeared in the void. In the next moment, when he reappeared, he was already above Bai Feng's head. Without hesitation, he directly stepped on Bai Feng from the sky. Bai Feng was like a meteorite, falling from the sky. With a boom, he directly smashed onto the ground. The ground shook, and a cloud of dust rose into the air. A large pit was formed on the ground. Seeing this scene, Long Shao was dumbfounded. No one knew better than her how strong and terrifying this sixth senior brother was. This sixth senior brother was actually stepped down from the sky by Gu Fei. This made her feel as though she was in an illusion. Everything was so unreal. After Gu Fei stepped Bai Feng from the sky, he crazily devoured the power of the blood prison heaven refining grand formation. The power was extremely huge. Very quickly, a blood-colored vortex formed around his body. When the big shots who were watching the battle saw this, their eyeballs almost fell out of their sockets. This Gu Fei is actually devouring the power of the demonic formation? When Wu Ying, one of the 8 great witch kings of the sorcerer tribe, saw this, he was shocked. He had bet that Gu Fei would lose, but now, Gu Fei would not lose at all. Ha ha, Wu Ying, you're going to eat dirt. The king of chaos was happy and proud. When Wu Ying heard this, his face instantly turned extremely ugly. How is this possible? At this moment, Ling Tian Palace's disciple Bai Feng, who climbed out of the large pit on the ground, raised his head and saw this scene. He was so agitated that he spat out a mouthful of blood. The power that he had painstakingly gathered actually became someone else's. This made him so depressed that he wanted to vomit blood. At this moment, the power of the blood prison heaven refining grand formation was quickly devoured by Gu Fei. Dazzling divine light shone from his body and the entire blood prison was collapsing. The power of the 49 blood prison demonic flags was also forcibly devoured by Gu Fei into his body and refined into his own vitality. Roar! Gu Fei could not help but roar into the sky. The terrifying sound waves spread in all directions and the entire void shook. His cultivation had long reached a bottleneck, but he still suppressed it and did not want to break through the current cultivation realm. This puzzled many people. If Gu Fei's cultivation broke through to the Emperor realm, it would be enough for him to establish a world that belonged to him in South China. He could even replace Man Huang and chase him away. All of you, come over here. The devouring power on Gu Fei's body became stronger. He roared and the 49 blood prison demonic flags flew up and directly flew towards him. When the 49 blood prison demonic flags flew towards Gu Fei, they quickly shrunk and were caught in his hand. Bai Feng spat out another mouthful of blood when he saw this scene. Those were 49 blood hellish devil flags. Moreover, these devil flags didn't belong to him. After losing the demonic flags, Bai Feng would definitely be punished when he returned to the towering Heaven Palace. However, a scene that shocked Bai Feng appeared. He saw that the 49 blood prison demonic flags were actually crushed by Gu Fei with a single grab. The extremely huge blood prison power that erupted from the blood prison demonic flags was also devoured by him. Awesome! Gu Fei felt the tyrannical power swimming in his body. At this moment, he even felt that he could punch through the heaven and earth. Right now, he could even put up a fight against an Emperor Realm expert. This guy is simply a monster! Chapter 4991. To Gu Fei, the power gathered by Bai Feng's heaven-refining blood prison formation was a great supplement. What he lacked now was power. His cultivation had already broken through to the infinite prime realm. His cultivation had only been suppressed by the laws of the world in the void realm. Once he recovered his infinite prime cultivation, who in the entire void realm could be his opponent? However, it was easier said than done for Gu Fei to recover his cultivation. Even if he devoured the power of the entire heaven-refining blood prison formation, he would only recover a portion of his cultivation. Haha, it's been a long time since I've felt so good. Gu Fei stood in the air. He stretched, and a sonic boom rang out from his body. Everyone who witnessed this scene was extremely shocked. This Gu Fei was simply a monster. He actually destroyed the heaven-refining blood prison formation all by himself. He swallowed the power of the entire blood prison heaven-refining grand array. Bai Feng was so angry that he vomited blood. Close the city gates! The Black Dragon King immediately ordered the city gates to be closed. He then activated the city protecting formation. This city protecting formation was set up by Long Xiao when he arrived. This city protecting formation was not bad, but it was far inferior to Gu Fei's formation. They were not on the same level at all. However, the Black Dragon King did not care so much at this time. He was afraid that Gu Fei would take advantage of the situation and kill his way to the West Garrison City. After all, the West Garrison City was less than 10 kilometers away from the West Gorge City. For Gu Fei, it was a distance that he could reach in the blink of an eye. Congratulations on your cultivation, Master. Congratulations on your cultivation, Master. On the city walls, Xiao Ye, the red-browed Eagle King, and the others were surprised and overjoyed when they saw this. Gu Fei did not say anything. He directly took a step and arrived above Bai Feng. He looked down at the once arrogant disciple of the Ling Tian Palace. What, you're not convinced? Gu Fei sneered. Bai Feng was both shocked and furious. But at this time, he didn't dare offend Gu Fei at all. He still wanted to live for a few more years. However, Gu Fei had no intention of attacking Jinxi City. I heard people say that the people from Ling Tian Palace are very powerful. It seems like they are all lies. Gu Fei shook his head. What did you say? Bai Feng was furious when he heard this. Haha, isn't it? Gu Fei laughed. I'm just a small disciple of Ling Tian Palace. Don't leave if you have the guts. Bai Feng was infuriated. Are you looking for help? Don't say that I didn't give you a chance. I'll wait here for you for 3 days. Gu Fei turned around and returned to the top of West Gorge City's city wall. Good, very good. Bai Feng did not even bother to return to Western Garrison City. Ling Tian Palace had a transcendent status in the Void Realm. However, no one knew where the mountain gate of Ling Tian Palace was located. Over the years, countless people had tried to find the mountain gate of Ling Tian Palace. However, apart from the disciples of Ling Tian Palace, outsiders simply couldn't find the mountain gate of Ling Tian Palace. Some people said that the mountain gate of Ling Tian Palace wasn't even in the Void Realm, but in the sky. Void Realm, outer sky. On a huge mountain floating in the void, pavilions could be faintly seen, and the aura of the immortal Tao lingered. Master, you have to seek justice for us. In a courtyard halfway up the giant mountain that floated in outer space, a man knelt down in front of a pavilion in the courtyard. This was the place where the array formation ancestor of Ling Tian Palace lived in seclusion. Scram, don't disturb Master's cultivation. A figure appeared silently in the courtyard and shouted at the person kneeling on the ground. Eldest senior brother. That person was instantly shocked. The person who came was the first disciple of the array formation ancestor, the array formation grandmaster named Han Tao. He was a true array formation grandmaster. Ling Tian Palace's array formation ancestor, Tian Hong, was one of the 3 patriarchs of Ling Tian Palace. His array formation Tao cultivation was unfathomable. He had 7 disciples in his lifetime, and each of them was an expert in the array formation Tao. Eldest senior brother Han Tao was the only one among the 7 disciples of ancestor Tian Hong who had cultivated to the array formation grandmaster realm. The person who knelt and begged ancestor Tian Hong to come out was Bai Feng. Why aren't you scramming? Han Tao was a little impatient. Eldest senior brother, do you know that a man has appeared in Southern Man? That person doesn't even care about the array formation Tao of Ling Tian Palace. Bai Feng said to his eldest senior brother, Han Tao, with tears and snot running down his face. What? Han Tao couldn't help but be furious. In this void realm, there was actually someone who dared to not care about the array formation Tao of Ling Tian Palace? That person said that even if Master personally attacked, he would be able to beat Master into a pig's head. Bai Feng dared to say anything in order to invite his master, ancestor Tian home. What did you say? Han Tao was furious. That person actually dared to offend his master. He deserved to die. Where is that guy? I will go and kill him. Han Tao gritted his teeth and said. That person is in Southern Man's West Gorge City. His name is Gu Fei. When Bai Feng saw Han Tao getting angry, he couldn't help but be secretly happy. Swish! Han Tao's figure instantly disappeared on the spot. Even Bai Feng didn't see clearly how Han Tao disappeared. Humph! Gu Fei, even if it's only eldest senior brother, you will still die. Bai Feng's eyes turned vicious. In his opinion, no matter how powerful Li Kuang was, it was impossible for him to be a match for eldest senior brother who was an array formation grandmaster. Soon, Han Tao arrived at Southern Man and found West Gorge City. Gu Fei, come out and die! Han Tao shouted in front of the city gate of West Gorge City. His voice spread throughout the entire city. How dare you! Presumptuous! On top of the city wall, Xiaoya and Red-Browed Eagle King were furious. Humph! Han Tao sneered and patted a bag on his waist. In the next moment, a cloud of black fog rushed out of the gourd and turned into a black dragon that pounced towards Xiaoya and the others on top of the city wall. However, when it was less than 30 feet away from the top of the city wall, the black dragon directly exploded, as if it had suddenly crashed into an invisible wall. Array? Han Tao sneered. In the next moment, countless black fog rushed out of his bag and directly rushed towards the West Gorge City's City Defense Grand Array. This kind of black fog could actually corrode the West Gorge City's City Defense Grand Array. The layer of divine light that emerged from the City Defense Grand Array actually dimmed. Humph! That Bai Feng is trash. He can't even break such an array. Han Tao had always looked down on Bai Feng. Who do you think you are? At this time, Gu Fei leisurely came to the top of the city wall. You are Gu Fei? Han Tao sneered. This guy is really crazy and arrogant. I will never change my name. I am indeed Gu Fei. Chapter 4992. Gu Fei thought that the people from Ling Tian Palace were powerful, but it turned out that in front of Gu Fei, the people from Ling Tian Palace were simply dregs. After Bai Feng lost to Gu Fei in array formation, he left South Barbarian and rushed back to the sect to ask for help from the array formation experts in the sect. Who would have thought that the array formation Grand Elder, Tian Hong, would go into closed-door cultivation? Bai Feng used his words to create hatred for Gu Fei, deliberately adding salt and vinegar in front of his eldest senior brother Han Tao, saying how Gu Fei looked down on Ling Tian Palace's array formation and how he insulted their master. In this way, eldest senior brother Han Tao was furious. He immediately left Ling Tian Palace and went straight to South Barbarian. Kill! Without any nonsense, Han Tao directly punched at the top of the city wall. The violent fist force erupted, and a mass of divine light appeared in the void, blocking Han Tao's fist force. On the divine light, there were only a few transparent ripples. Array! Han Tao was an array formation grandmaster. A resplendent divine light erupted from his eyes as he surveyed his surroundings. He saw that the entire West Gorge City was enveloped by densely packed array runes. The array eye of the West Gorge City's Great Array Formation was the position of the array board in the sky. In other words, as long as the Great Array Formation's array board was broken, the array in front of him would collapse on its own, and the entire array would dissipate into the void. However, it was definitely not an easy task to break through this Great Array Formation and destroy the array eye. Whether it was Long Xiao or Bai Feng, they were defeated by Gu Fei. Could Han Tao have 3 heads and 6 arms to stop this guy? At this time, Bai Feng had already arrived nearby and hid to watch the show. Eldest senior brother Han Tao was an array formation grandmaster. Han Tao saw through the actual situation of this great array at a glance. However, Even if he saw through the actual situation of this great array, it was useless because he couldn't see where the flaws of this great array were. Every array had flaws. Han Tao could see the actual situation of the array set up by Gu Fei, but it didn't mean that he could break the array. You have some ability. My array is right here. Please begin your performance. Gu Fei stood on top of the city wall with his hands behind his back, looking down at the guy in front of the city gate. Humph! Han Tao sneered. In the next moment, an array plate flew out from his body and floated in front of him. Countless runes lit up on the array disk and a powerful energy fluctuation erupted from the array disk in front of Han Tao. Go! Han Tao shouted and a powerful force burst out from the formation plate. It transformed into a battle spear and pierced towards the formation. However, the battle spear formed by the power pierced the light barrier. In the next moment, the battle spear shattered in the void. Han Tao couldn't help but frown when he saw this. Even Bai Feng couldn't break this formation. It really does have some ability. You're trying to break the array with just this bit of skill? What a joke! Xiaoya, who was standing beside Gu Fei, sneered. What did you say? If you have the guts, come down and fight me one-on-one. Han Tao was furious. Attack first if you have the ability, Xiaoya said disapprovingly. You! Han Tao was infuriated by Xiaoya. He channeled the power of the array disk with all his might. Rays of divine light rushed towards him from all directions and merged into the array disk floating in front of him. Buzz! The array disk vibrated and countless runes rushed out from it. They transformed into a huge blade that fell from the sky and slashed towards West Gorge City. Using the power of the formation to form a saber to kill his opponent, this was indeed a unique method. Even Gu Fei's eyes lit up upon seeing this. Formations could be used in this way. Han Tao's blade had drawn the power of heaven and earth. The power of this blade was extremely powerful. Even an Emperor Realm expert would be moved by this blade. However, Gu Fei still had no intention of making a move. When the shocking saber landed on the divine light barrier of West Gorge City, it was directly sent flying. Han Tao was also sent flying by the recoil. How is this possible? Han Tao knew that Bai Feng and Long Shuzhou's defeat was not unjust. Just you wait! Han Tao put away the array disk and turned to leave. Long Xiaozhou, Bai Feng, and the others were inexplicably shocked to see Han Tao leave. Even a formation grandmaster couldn't do anything to Gu Fei's formation? What should they do? On top of the city wall, Long Xiaozhou and the Black Dragon King's faces were extremely solemn. Gu Fei had actually blocked the West Sea Dragon Clan's army. This was something that everyone could not believe. While Gu Fei was blocking the West Sea Dragon Clan's army, the sorcerer race began to take action. They began to attack the South Barbarian capital. In this way, there would be countless people fleeing from the South Barbarian capital. The sorcerer race's army finally began to attack the South Barbarian capital. For a moment, the sounds of battle shook the sky. However, the South Barbarian capital was protected by a great formation. The sorcerer race's army was only attacking tentatively. Soon, the sorcerer race's army stopped attacking. What are the sorcerer race playing? Man Yu, the second son of the South Barbarian capital, couldn't help but feel puzzled when he saw the sorcerer race's army retreating. Countless forces turned their attention to the South Barbarian capital. At this time, more and more forces sided with the sorcerer race. In the west of South Barbarian, in front of the city gate of West Gorge City, a figure appeared in the sky above West Gorge City as soon as Han Tao left. Gu Fei, come out and die! That person roared furiously, and an extremely powerful sound wave spread out. The entire great defensive formation shook, and a layer of divine light appeared in the void, enveloping the entire city. Who the hell are you? Gu Fei appeared on top of the city wall again. He is the barbarian sovereign! The sorcerer tribe's heaven shaman priest, Wu Lingxue, said with a trembling voice. What? The others were shocked when they heard this. The barbarian sovereign had actually returned and came directly to these small cities in the west of South Barbarian. Barbarian! Barbarian sovereign? Chiu Qianjian, Lunar Divine Fist Han Chong, Saber King Luo Lai, Red-Browed Eagle King, and the others were scared half to death when they saw the figure in the sky. The pressure that erupted from the figure in the sky was too powerful. The surrounding void was shaking, and ripples spread out in all directions. He is the barbarian sovereign? Gu Fei sensed the emperor's might that descended from the sky and couldn't help but be moved. This guy was indeed very strong. Since you are unwilling to come out and die, then let countless people be buried with you. The barbarian sovereign roared and attacked. A huge palm descended from the sky and blasted towards West Gorge City below. Boom! With a loud bang, the huge palm fell on the divine light of West Gorge City. The divine light of West Gorge City was extremely powerful, but it still shook violently. One crack after another appeared on the light barrier, as if it could shatter at any time. This Chapter 4993. He's coming, he's coming, he's coming, he's coming with endless fury. Barbarian Sovereign was finally back. Near West Gorge City, all the big shots who witnessed Barbarian Sovereign's return were shocked to the extreme. Barbarian Sovereign was the true ruler of South Barbarian in the Void Realm. Boom! Like an ancient god of war, Barbarian Sovereign struck the great formation of West Gorge City with his palm. With a deafening bang, the city defense formation that enveloped the entire West Gorge City immediately shook violently, and countless cracks appeared on the city defense light shield. Ha! Barbarian Sovereign was surprised to see that his palm didn't break the great formation. Again! Barbarian Sovereign struck the West Gorge City with his fist again. Boom! Another loud sound rang out as the Barbarian Emperor's fist landed solidly on the light shield. More cracks appeared on the light shield, and even the array disc floating above the West Gorge City began to crack. Ha! On top of West Gorge City, Gu Fei's face turned solemn when he saw this. At this moment, he realized that Barbarian Sovereign was a tall, middle-aged man with white hair. Barbarian Sovereign! In the sky, Wu Ying's voice trembled. Heaven Battering King, North Garrison King, and Elephant King were all stunned. They regretted betraying Barbarian Sovereign. After the sorcerer tribe received the news, they stopped attacking the South Barbarian capital. The other forces who were watching secretly rejoiced. If they had all betrayed Barbarian Sovereign, the moment he returned would be their doomsday. What should we do? Elephant King was terrified. At this moment, no one was optimistic about Gu Fei. West Gorge City's great formation was about to be broken by Barbarian Sovereign. Han Tao, the disciple of Ling Tian Palace, didn't even need to call for reinforcements. The West Sea Dragon tribe was dumbfounded when they saw Barbarian Sovereign's return. The Black Dragon King wanted to retreat. With Barbarian Sovereign's return, the West Sea Dragon tribe wouldn't attack South Barbarian. As long as Barbarian Sovereign was alive, South Barbarian would belong to him. No one could take it away, not even the West Sea Dragon tribe. The Eastern Wilderness Demon Clan's army, which was blocked by War God Baiga at East Guard City, retreated as soon as they knew that Barbarian Emperor had returned. Those Marquises of Nanman who had surrendered to the Sorcerer tribe were even more regretful. Haha, Father is finally back. Gu Fei, and the Sorcerer tribe, you're all finished. In the southern barbarian capital, the second son of the barbarian emperor, Man Yu, was overjoyed when he received the news. He was so happy that he almost went crazy. He, who was originally in despair, never would he have thought that the situation would be reversed so dramatically. The heavens haven't forsaken me! Within the imperial palace of the southern Man royal capital, Man Yu roared towards the sky. However, the attention of the major forces in the entire Void Realm was attracted by the western city of Nanman, West Gorge City at this time. The barbarian sovereign personally attacked the West Gorge City. He wanted to avenge his two sons who had died at the hands of Gu Fei. Therefore, he directly appeared in the West Gorge City. Muffled sounds of collisions resounded continuously, and countless people in West Gorge City were scared out of their wits. On top of the city wall, Chiu Qianjian, Red-browed Eagle King and the others were even more terrified. They were all in despair. This was the barbarian sovereign, an invincible existence in Nan'an. In the entire West Gorge city, and even in the entire region, there was only one person who was still calm, and that person was Gu Fei. The barbarian sovereign was very strong, and a punch from him could shake the heavens and the earth. However, Gu Fei wasn't someone to be trifled with. It was really hard to say who was stronger and who was weaker. Gu Fei is finished this time, Wu Ying murmured. He wasn't optimistic about Gu Fei. What should we do? On top of the city wall, the heaven shaman priest, Wu Lingxue, looked at the invincible figure in the sky and said in fear, "Different situations call for different actions." Gu Fei said indifferently, "You can still be so calm at this time?" Wu Lingxue looked at Gu Fei as if she was looking at a monster. Even when facing the barbarian sovereign, this guy could still be calm. How did he do it? I, Gu Fei, have never been weaker than anyone in my life. Gu Fei looked at the barbarian sovereign in the sky and said expressionlessly, "What?" Wu Lingxue couldn't help but be shocked when she heard this. Could it be that Gu Fei wanted to compete with the barbarian sovereign? Master Yu. The red-browed Eagle King and the rest were also shocked. Boom! At this moment, the barbarian sovereign's fist smashed through the light barrier of the West Gorge city, and a fist smashed towards Gu Fei at the top of the city wall. Gu Fei stretched out his right hand and caught the incoming fist. He then waved his sleeves and the little girl beside him, Wu Lingxue, disappeared. The red-browed Eagle King and the rest disappeared. When they reappeared, they were already dozens of miles away from the West Gorge city. Boom! With a loud bang, the city wall around Gu Fei suddenly exploded. The incomparably sturdy city wall was like a piece of paper, incomparably fragile. And Gu Fei was also smashed into the ground by this punch. The red-browed Eagle King's army had already gathered at the back gate of the West Gorge city when the barbarian sovereign appeared. When the barbarian sovereign broke through the protective formation of the West Gorge city, the red-browed Eagle King's army opened the back gate and escaped. Since the barbarian sovereign's target was Gu Fei, he naturally wouldn't care about the 50,000-strong army of the red-browed Eagle King. This guy can actually take a punch from me? In midair, the barbarian sovereign, who had smashed Gu Fei into the ground, couldn't help but frown when he saw Gu Fei rushing out from the ground. Since this guy was able to kill 2 of his sons, he must be very capable. However, the barbarian sovereign didn't expect that this guy named Gu Fei could actually take a punch from him. Gu Fei took on barbarian emperor's punch. This was the first time he fought against an Emperor Realm expert. An Emperor Realm expert was too strong. If it wasn't for his strong martial body, he would have been killed by barbarian Emperor's punch. Kill! Gu Fei's battle intent was like a rainbow, and his murderous intent was shocking. He directly attacked the barbarian sovereign in an extremely strong manner. Good boy, do you want to die early and reincarnate early? The barbarian sovereign couldn't help but frown when he saw Gu Fei taking the initiative to attack him. He then punched out. Bam! The 2 fists instantly collided, and a circle of ripples that could be seen by the naked eye spread out in all directions. The barbarian sovereign was unmoved like a mountain, but Gu Fei was sent flying, and the sleeve on his arm exploded. Gu Fei was directly sent flying by the barbarian sovereign's punch, and directly crashed into a mountain peak. With a loud bang, half of the mountain peak was broken and fell from the sky. However, Gu Fei rushed over again. Eat my punch too! Without any hesitation, Gu Fei directly punched out with his breaking extremity fist. The punch broke extremity, and a fist force that surpassed the limit of the limit burst out from Gu Fei's fist. Even the void trembled under his punch. What? The barbarian sovereign couldn't help but be shocked. How could this guy be possible? He wasn't an Emperor Realm expert, so how could he have the tyrannical strength to compete with an Emperor Realm expert? Seeing that Gu Fei was still attacking him energetically, the barbarian sovereign was a little stunned. You're tuning into the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.